Welcome back, everybody. This is Brother Moon here. Today we are finishing up, hopefully, our feat videos talking about feats available to you in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Now, of course, this is still in beta. There are changes that could occur from the point that I make this video to the time the game is released, which is supposed to be just about a month away. So, again, grain of salt with some of the things here. Also, I haven't tested everything. There's no possible way for me to have tested everything. And this does not include all feats. Why do I say that? I mean, it says we're talking about all the feats. With every video I've done, that's all the feats that you can pick over here. That doesn't include all the stuff that's down here that, while not necessarily a feat per se, are things that behave like feats. So again, you'd have to dive into each class to understand what these things do for you. Some of them are pretty simple. If you have a specific class in mind, like, hey, what does this do, Brother Mutant? Feel free to post that down below, and I will do my best to try to dive into that specific class or subclass, give my 2 cents as to what they are and what they do. Again, on, like, for example, this list here, this is advanced weapon training, something specific to some fighters. They get some cool stuff, some stuff that's pretty straightforward and obvious. Bonuses to swing, bonuses to damage. That's what this weapon training stuff is all about. There's ways to enhance that. Grab it multiple times, so you can get it upwards of like 4 times for the same weapon category. So all your ability to swing with axes, which includes everything on this list, could be literally at a +4 to swing, +4 to the damage. There's some ways to buff your initiative, buff your reflexes, give yourself solo tactics. We've talked about this in the past, but again, the point's still the same. There's some really good stuff up in here. Again, every class is going to have bugaboos and things about it that are just things you just don't quite understand. Again, feel free to post that down below, and I will endeavor to do my best to explain them to you. So let's actually get into our character. Now I'm using a mod, just to be clear. This is why you see that I have access to everything that's on the feat list. This is every feat that you could pick up here. We're not going over all of them because we've gone over 5 videos worth already, maybe 6, I can't remember. I can't really keep track. There's too many is my point. But I'm going to try my best to go off of memory here. So if I forget one, I apologize. Feel free to post that down below and say, hey, idiot, you forgot this one. And again, I will type in an apology as well as what I think it does, if it's any good, the fringe cases that it might be useful, reasons that would straight up suck, don't bother, things of that nature. So let's go through it, shall we? Notice the first one here is right off the top. And it feels like this should have been a combat feat, something that we've already covered. Ability focused bombs. Notice this one, +2 to the DC for all saving throws against your bombs. These are bomb specific characters, and there's only 2 in the game that I'm aware of. There is the Alchemist, and not every Alchemist has bombs. So the Sectionist, for example, loses the ability to throw and get bombs, prepare bombs, if you will, every day. So, again, not every Alchemist is a bomber, but most are. And their bombs literally hit, and their bombs usually have a saving throw because of things like damage, splash damage, how much damage they take, how many stuns or fatigues or whatever the bomb, if it's a unique type of bomb, what they do, like an effect. Okay, so that's a DC check. Now your DC check for most of those guys is going to be, I want to say, base 10, half your alchemist level probably, and then like your intelligence modifier because you're an intelligence-based caster. So something of that nature is probably going to dictate your DCs. So this is a solid +2. Notice, for example, if you may think, well, that doesn't sound like that big of a deal. For some frame of reference, when you play a bomber, and I routinely play the Grenadier, one of my favorite types of alchemist, you get a lot of different types of bombs. Because you get so many uses a day, I routinely think of bombs as spells. They're AoE, they can do hella damage. They have crowd control effects for some of them. They have effects like Stinking Cloud, sort of, like, not sickening, what's the thing? Nausea is an effect that stinking bomb will actually do. They call it something different, but that's basically what it is, a big stink bomb. There's ones that don't do any damage at all, but they'll like blind the target. There's ones that have curses associated with them that will still do damage. Again, feel free to dip into any Grenadier game that or build that I've made, and you'll see me talking great detail about how cool the bombs are. Because they're like spells to me, and the fact that they get better as you get better, as you level up, you get more of a DC bonus. This +2 may not sound like that big of a deal, but again, for some frame of reference, compare it then, if it's treated like a spell, treat it like a spell, or all of them like your spells. And now imagine that you were a wizard instead, and that you were given spell focus and greater spell focus for 1 feat. That's what this is. Because that's what spell focus and greater spell focus does, right? A +1 to the DC check each. So that's a +2. And that +2 literally is only for one school of magic. In this case, your school of magic, so to speak, is bombs. So again, is it good? Hell yeah. Now, there is another bomber. Notice how it says prerequisite bomb. The other one says arcane bomb. So that's the other class that's capable of bombs. And it's a subclass. It's not my favorite. Matter of fact, I don't understand why it still exists. It's dumb. Again, apologies for anyone that thinks it's cool. Hey, man, that's fine. And I'm sure there's a trick that I don't get. For instance, the arcane bombs that we're referring to here are bombs from a wizard subclass called the Arcane Bomber or something like that. Literally is what I think he's called. And that bastard literally gets to pick one of 4 bomb choices. So your choices are what kind of element the bomb does for damage. So you have fire, cold, electric, and acid. So if you want to be an electric bombing son of a bee, you can do that. Is there a way to change it? I don't know that. I think you literally get to pick one, and one is all you get. You get multiple bombs a day, kind of like the alchemist. But the difference is the alchemist can have bombs specifically as not a feat, but it feels like a feat. It's called a discovery that they get as they level up. That can make them and their teammates immune to the effects of the bomb, which means I can chuck it at point blank range and not hurt myself or my team. But you can see the appeal. Sadly, the arcane bomber can't. The wizard can't do that. Now, that's not to say they couldn't cast, like they have fire bombs and cast fire protection spells on themselves and the team that literally would make them immune or highly resistant. That's a thing you could do. I still don't care enough to want to do this class. And just to give you another frame of reference for why these ones, in my estimation, suck, is literally you only get one type of bomb. B, when you pick the subclass, this wizard subclass, you know how you get a school of focus, or could get a school of focus, then you usually pick 2 schools that are counter schools, like opposing schools is what they call them, where you have to take 2 spell slots just to slot those things. The arcane bomber guy has to pick 4 schools just to learn how to make one bomb. What? How the fuck does that make any sense? Again, whatever. Hey, if it's your thing, man, do it. Honestly speaking, though, I think there's more fun playing the Alchemist or Grenadier. And the reason, by the way, for those wondering why I say I like Grenadier the best out of all the Alchemists that I've ever played so far. I like Vivisectionists. They don't do bombs, but again, there's other reasons to like the Alchemists. But the Grenadier, that discovery I just told you about, where you literally cannot hurt your team, you have to pick it. The Grenadier gets it for free at level 2. So you just got to be careful to level 2, and you never have to worry about hurting you or your team again with those bombs, which is fucking money. And that's why I like the Grenadier. There's more than just that, but that's a biggie. That's a real big sell point right there. I'm just like, you know what? I like the ability that I'm immune to my own bombs. Sounds good. So again, is this one good? Yes. Obviously, you would have to be a bomb guy. And if there is another class, by the way, for those that have delved into the other classes, because there's so many, I have not had a chance to even look at everything. If there's another class that gets bombs, or arcane bombs for that matter, feel free to post that down below. But again, as far as I know, it's limited to the Alchemist and that one subclass of Wizard. But again, of value, at least for the Alchemist. Probably not for the Wizard, because I don't think they have a DC check. Well, I take that back. I think they may have a DC check for the AoE damage, because it's splash damage, right? So it hits, the way bombs work is like you throw it, if you hit the guy, he takes full damage, and everyone around him in a certain radius of the bomb, which can be small or big depending on the type of bomb you're using, they take what's called splash damage. So if your bomb does, let's say, 10d6 of damage to this prick, it does 10 damage to these guys. So basically just a minimum of 1. You roll 1s on everything for the splash damage, if you will. But that's still damage, and that's not bad as you level up. And there's a saving throw associated with them, and they can cut it in half. Again, hence the reason for the DC check. So at the very least, this should be viable for every bomber, is the way I'd look at that. Let's see. Bashing Finish. I don't know if we covered this one. Let's take a quick gander. Yeah, we've talked about this already. We've talked about that one, that one, that one. Keep going. Most of these things we've talked about. Again, I'm in passing. And just as a reminder, in case I haven't, Greater Shield Focus, just a nice, another +1 to your shield armor class. So again, you'd have to be a fighter of some repute. You have to have proficiency in one of the types of shield, not counting tower shield. How Tower Shield gets missed by this, I don't understand. Maybe it's because it's implied that if you have Tower Shield that you have the other proficiencies, I don't know. But certainly Tower Shield, you should get this bonus, you would think, as well. Again, whatever. Point is, it's still worth picking. All these we've talked about. I love my greater weapon specialization and greater weapon focus. They're not amazing. Let's be real clear right here. There's just a +1 to your swing extra and another +2 to your damage for a specific weapon. But that's still, if you already know that that's always going to be your weapon, that's actually not that bad. Keep going. Lingering performance. Here we go. Finally something new. Okay, what is lingering performance? This is one that literally is for people that have bardic performance. You would assume that means bard. And you'd be correct, but it's not only bards. This, I believe, works on anyone that has something that's equivalent to a song. Who does that include? Well, obviously bards and all their subclasses, but there's a new class in the game, and I don't think it existed in Kingmaker. At least if it did, it didn't exist at the initial release. And it's called a Scald, I believe. Picture, if you know what a bard does, spell casting, some dexterous attacks, because they're usually dex-based characters in my mind anyway. Not that you have to be. But they have some armor, they have some weapons proficiencies, they got a lot of skills. It's one of the reasons that you like the bard. He's like the jack of all trades. How they even got an ability that they get as they level up called Jack of all trades. It's just like a +1 to all their skills across the board, which is just kind of cool. Again, if you want to make a really good skill monkey, I highly recommend you look at my archaeologist builds, because they get some redunculous shit. And if you give them just enough intelligence to make them worth a damn, they get be real OP. And you don't even have to play a human. Matter of fact, in those cases, this is an example of when I would typically play like a gnome. And why? Is because they're still bards, the archaeologists are. And they still get all the bard spells, I believe. Nothing changes there. Their songs get different. Or at least they don't get as many of the songs, because there's different performances. And ones that buff your attack bonus, ones that buff your saving throws, ones that heal your team, just a bunch of weird shit. But the archaeologist only buffs himself or herself, and that buff can be actually quite powerful for a variety of other things too. So it's an interesting look into a skill monkey build and still being a competent character. And the reason I play gnome is because not only do they get teeny tiny, which means a bonus to stealth just for being small, it's a +4. Don't discount that shit. That's a nice bump. And you get a bonus to your armor because you're small. And they're already charisma based and con based. They get a +2 to con, +2 to charisma. Unlike the halfling, which is the typical bard to me, because that's a dex +2 and a charisma +2. Having said that, those are good choices too. But why do I pick the gnome? Because the bard spells have some illusion spells, some decent attack illusion spells, and gnomes, if you don't know, have a racial bonus to their illusion spells. A good bonus to save against it, +1 or +2, I can't remember. But they also, any of their illusion spells that they cast, get a +1 to the DC check. So if you want to make a true, quote-unquote, illusionist, you'd have to play a gnome, in my mind, because they're the only one, I think, that gets that +1, which is pretty cool. But again, lingering performance, all it does is when you activate your song has a number of rounds per day you can use, per rest. When you rest, you get all your songs back, or rounds of your songs back. You can switch between songs, that's on you, but notice this one here, literally, when you shut the song off, the fight's over, or, maybe you just don't want to burn up the last uses of it, maybe you need it for the next room because it's the big boss fight, but you still want to buff. You buff up, you shut off the song, and it will only last for one round. The round that you cast it in. So hopefully you're casting it, and your team can capitalize on that. They should always be able to capitalize on it for like one round. You shut it off though, and it's done for you. Now, with lingering performance, the song lingers like it sounds for 2 more rounds. So you turn it on, boom, everyone's got the buff. You shut it off, it's still quote unquote on. It doesn't use your rounds though anymore. You use the 1 round that you turned it on, and you shut it off. So basically, you're getting 3 rounds for the price of 1. There's a word I can say. So, is that of value? Clearly, yes. When you start seeing that, especially in the early levels, you start seeing things like, oh, I have a song, I only get like 10 of them, or 13, or 5, whatever the fuck it is. And it's just, you're like, wow, they're there, that's cool, and it helps, and now they're gone. Well, shit. But getting something like this and being a micromanager, this is where turn-based combat comes in. And I get on my high horse and tell you about how badass turn-based combat is in this game. It's because of shit like this that you will routinely forget. You have lingering performance, your bard, or your teammate is, they get their turn, kick on whatever song you think the team will need. There's ones that buff strength, or not strength, attack bonuses and saving throws, etc. and so forth. So pick the one that makes sense, turn it on, immediately shut it off, and then go back to battling, like your normal caster spells, healing, whatever you would do as your bard character. And again, it would probably take, to turn it on and shut it off, early levels, it'll take like a movement or hell, your full action. So you're not doing anything other than activating a song and shutting it the hell back off. But what did you just do? You buffed the rest of your party and all your little minions and pets and summons and everything else, because bards can do that too. And they're all at like +1 minimum to, like, let's say attack bonus and damage. Free. For 3 rounds. That's a nice bump. That's better than a bless spell. Now yes, the bless spell will last longer, but the point is the fight should be over in this game if you're really working at it. Some of these smaller fights, they don't last more than 3 rounds. Because you got a team of presumably 6, or at least very quickly you will, and not counting pets besides. So animal companions, summons, you get the idea. So again, can you do something with 1 round of buff? Yeah. Can you do something even better with 3 rounds of buff? Hell yeah. So this one is definitely a must for anyone that has bard performance. Now on this, again, we said bards. Scalds is another one. For those that don't know what Scald is, I think I was trying to say that and I totally lost my train of thought. Scald is I want to say, and from what I understand anyway, because I've never really played one, I want to say they're kind of like akin to a bard and a barbarian hybrid, which sounds awesome. So you can't, surprised that I haven't actually played one, quite frankly, but there's songs that are more battle oriented, I think is the way that goes. There's a bunch of different bards and a bunch of different subclasses for bard, obviously, the archaeologist just being one. Anyone else that might get a bardic performance, I know that there is a monk that gets their own equivalent of bardic performance. It's an Inspire Competence ability, which is, again, one of your bardic songs. I don't know that this would work for it. I would assume it would, or at the very least, if you can pick it, I mean, I'm using a mod, so I'm cheating, but if you can pick it in-game, then that would, I assume, means that it's going to work for you. And if it doesn't work, which means you turn it on, shut it off, and you and the team still get that buff for 3 rounds. I said 3 minutes. Psh, that'd be amazing. No, 3 rounds. If it doesn't do it, you should be bug reporting that. So that's a definite. But again, real easy to see that it's working because the icon on your song appears under every character that's in the effect of the song. There's other cool shit that you can do with your songs, by the way. There's not just ones that buff the team. Depending on the type of bard you play, there's ones that can like affect undead, either like raise them or buff them or I don't know, turn them. I don't know. There's ones that songs that can promote a fear effect, which again, if you want to have a Cornigan Smash Shatter Defenses type build without having to get Cornigan Smash, but you and your teammates can totally get Shatter Defenses. All that requires is weapon focus, dazzling display, and Shatter Defenses, and of course all the prerequisites of like a high base attack bonus and blah blah blah. And you can get those 3 feats, 2 of which you actually care about. Weapon focus, okay, dazzling display, that's kind of shit, but again, useful. And then you throw in Shatter Defenses. Now, with anybody scared, however they get scared, you literally are attacking a flat-footed opponent. So you can see the appeal with a bard that's just going out there singing a song that scares the shit out of everybody. I imagine that is probably Britney Spears. But, whatever. Maybe it's heavy metal. Who knows? Point is, there's some fun to be had here. And the fact that you can turn it on, shut it right the fuck back off, and get 3 rounds total of effect. This one's a must-pick for a bard, in my mind, anyway. Now, when? Well, certainly the earlier the better. You can imagine by the end of the build, especially if you've been investing like you should on whatever gives you bardic performance, because there's so many rounds per day. I want to say it's equal to like your bard level plus like your charisma modifier or something. Maybe it's double your bard level or something ridiculous, because you get quite a bit at the beginning. It's like 6 rounds or something like that a day. By the end, it's routine that I'm in the 20s, 30s, or 40s for rounds a day, which is amazing. So again, do you need this at that point? Yeah, I don't like being wasteful. So again, this is more bang for your buck. Certainly you can see the appeal. And not for nothing, there's another bard, another one of my favorites, subclass of bard that was in Kingmaker, and it's in this one still too. I want to say it's called the Thunder Caller. There's also a fire dancing bar, which is super fun. But the Thunder Caller is interesting because they use their bardic performance, their rounds a day, for songs, too. Nothing wrong there, and lingering performance still works on that. But they have clickable abilities that are attack spell like. That literally they can turn the song on for like the ability to like summon a storm cloud and jolt a bad guy. And they may work with that. The other ones that are clickable and they use a round of use, but that round of use is not a song. It's just using a round of your song, your performance a day, to cast a spell-like ability like Sound Burst. And if you know what Sound Burst is, you know it's like 1d6 or 1d8 of AoE damage, sonic damage, obviously Bard, makes sense. And it has like a stun effect. It's lame. But the Thunder Caller gets a bonus to it where it starts off at that when you unlock it. And then as you continue to progress as Thunder Caller, that 1d8 jumps up to 2d8, 3d8, 5d8, or some such by the end. So now imagine 40 rounds a day. Remember, we talk about our bardic performance. That's what we're talking about. Rounds of bardic performance a day. Let's say you have 40 a day. That's 40 spells a day where I'm doing like 5d8 or 10d8 or 6d8, whatever the hell the damage is. AoE. Sonic. Just boom. That's a lot of spells a day. Now, yes, it's only one kind. I don't care, and I won't use 40 a day, really, honestly, anyway. But the point's still the same. I could. And again, if you want to make sure you have as many of those uses a day as possible, lingering performance doesn't help with the casting of that spell-like ability. But what it does do is when you do use your performances for what you should use them for, traditionally, the buffs for the team is still important. You cast that buff, you shut the buff right the fuck back off, and you got 3 rounds of buff. So it's saving my performances for when I need them for that big spell, that massive AoE sonic damage spell. So again, still a solid call here. But remember, we're talking about bardic performances, and that therefore implies toggles. So this will only work on any of those things that is an actual turn it on song toggle. Shut it back off, and then it should literally linger for 2 more rounds. Going on. Let's see, Selective Channel. This was something that was not in the list, even though this feels like a caster upgrade. It's a healer casting type upgrade. Sorry, my throat's dry. Let's do a little Selective Channel here. Let's see. This one literally allows you to channel positive energy to heal the living, or channel negative energy to heal the undead. Normally, that affects the bad guys too. So if you're channeling positive to heal your team in mid-combat, then you're healing the bad guys that are in the circle as well. Fuck that. Those guys don't deserve my healing. But they're going to get it. And if, again, we're using the reverse, the one that is channel negative energy to heal undead, then again, we would be healing our undead, presumably our pets, or the undead we're fighting. Again, you see the problem here. We don't want to help them. Vice versa. When you channel positive energy to damage undead, that includes your buddies. Or if you channel negative energy to damage the living, that's your team, your allies. That's not good. Well, Selective Channel takes that away. So basically, you are only healing the things you should be healing. You're only damaging the things you should be damaging, is the short version. Is this worth? Fuck yeah, it is. Is it hard to get? Actually, it's a little hard to get, because you actually have to have not only one of your positive channels or negative channels. There's a variety of them. Notice the laundry list that's here. So there's channel energy, channel positive energy, and notice the big number there. You may say that's probably like a typo. That's a bug report. Not that you care, but it's not. It's channel positive energy from all these different classes that have channel positive energy. So that's a thing. So there's channel positive energy for like clerics, typical, but also I think like war priest can get it. I think an inquisitor might be able to pull that shit off. Definitely a paladin has access to something similar. And again, the same principle. But notice how this one, not only do you have to have that channel, and notice even hex channel, so I'm assuming a witch probably. How you get it, I don't know, probably like a witch trait or a hex. But notice if you have that, and here's the biggie, a charisma of a minimum of 13. This is why back in Kingmaker, just as a side note, back in Pathfinder Kingmaker, Harem sucked because his charisma was like 10 or 8 or some shit. He was a dwarf, and their charisma is notoriously like -2. So he didn't have anywhere near 13. You give him a piece of gear to get it to 13, which was the way you would do it, and then you'd pick this feat. Never take that gear off of him. And this would be a way he'd be useful. Otherwise, how were you using him? You could damage undead with him. Just make sure Jathel's not on the party, because she's fucking undead and she will not like you. And you could use him to heal the team, but only after the fight's over, when everything's dead. You're completely gone. So, again, he was still useful. It's just, if you want to be a battle cleric, think of it that way. This is a must. And again, so getting a 13 charisma with gear or naturally is of value. So again, and it kind of interesting in that a paladin being a charisma-based character. I mean, I think they have wisdom for their spells, but charisma for all their other shit. You know, like their smites and what have you, and their bonus to saves and everything are based off of charisma, I believe. The fact that paladins could unlock this is pretty cool in my mind. Even though those are usually subpar. Because again, remember, their channel positive energy, for a cleric anyway, is based on their cleric level. So the higher the cleric, the more healing they do, or the more damage they do to undead, for example. Same with paladins and all these other guys, but they're at like a disadvantage, if you will, because they don't get this at level 1. They get this at like level 3 or 5 or something. So they're already behind in the progression, if that makes sense. But again, something you would want to have more likely than not on a healer. Is it necessary? No. But is it really help a lot? Hell to the yeah. Going on, let's see. Advanced weapon training. This is again our fighter stuff. That's these things that we're talking about here. But notice with the list, we will talk about this. Notice that this is locked for anyone that's not fighter level 20. Holy Jesus, really? Fighter? How the hell does that work? I guess that's that thing here. You can get arm bravery. Oh no, it's not. It's fighter level 9. You lying bastard. That's weird. Here's the, oh, okay. So there's 5, 10, 15, and 20. So they must show up at milestones. Here's 5. Here's 10. Here's 15. What the hell? That's weird as fuck. And 20 is down here somewhere. Okay. Anyway, but let's pick one, because it doesn't matter. I don't think I can, because they're all available to us. Notice that you need fighter level 9 for all these things. So how you get one that's at level 5, I don't know. But I get, oh, that's because the other ones, advanced weapon training, it gets all this weird shit like your weapon training for an actual weapon category. Okay, sorry. Well, let's talk about these. We didn't really talk about these in great detail. These are combat oriented for obviously a fighter type. Arm bravery, the fighter applies his bonus from bravery to all will saves, so he gets a will bonus basically. And that's this stuff here. So for those of you that don't know, some of the fighters, not all of them I believe, some of them get a bonus to save against fear, because they're fighters. They're constantly rushing into battle. They can't be cowards. So a +1 to their saving throws only against fear is not bad. Then it goes to 2, 3, 4, and you see 5. Well, if you grabbed arm bravery, you literally are converting all of that. Remember, those are all will saves anyway. You're converting those will saves for fear into just +5 to will saves, period. +1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's not bad. That's a bonus to the will save, something that they would be pretty weak in. So that's not bad that they get that for free as a purist. Combat maneuver defense, we've talked about this before in coordinated maneuver defense, but it's the same general principle, I believe. His weapon training bonus applies to his CMD against all combat maneuvers attempted against him. Now, what does that mean? It's this bonus down here, the weapon training +1, +2, +3, and then +4. If you stick to the same weapon, which you don't have to, but if you stick to the same weapon group, and remember those groups are large. For instance, like we talked about with the axes, that includes Bardiche, battle axe, dwarven war axe, great axe, a hand axe, a heavy pick, light pick, orc double axe, and a throwing axe. So basically, if you're that guy, pick this one at the soonest possibility, which is right here, and then pick it again and again and again. It'll be +1 to the swing, +1 to the damage, then it'll be +2 to both, +3, then +4. You get the idea. Well, that's the bonus they're referring to. So when it says, when the fighter is wielding weapons from the trained weapon group, that's our axes, if that's your thing, his weapon training bonus, the +1 all the way up to +4, is applied to your combat maneuver defenses against combat maneuvers against them. So again, a +4 to your CMD, short version, best case scenario. Is that amazing? No. Is it helpful? Yeah, I mean, a fighter doesn't like getting tripped and bull rushed. I get that. But again, these are also the characters that are less likely to have that be a problem. Remember how the combat maneuver defense is actually calculated. For those of you that don't know, just as a reminder, it's base 10 for everybody, base attack bonus, and a fighter by the end is going to get a 20 if you're a purist. So that's the highest one you can be. High strength, because they're probably a strength-based character. Decent problem dex as well, so they're getting both of those. So again, they're doing real well for a physical being. That's what fighters usually are. So again, they probably have a really good CMD. Now the size modifier and miscellaneous bonuses, this would be one of those miscellaneous modifiers. But the size modifier would be like if you're a big person or a little person. I can't remember which benefits who I would assume if you're little, you probably get a bonus. If you're big, it's easier to trip you because you're a big fat giant, is the way I would probably look at that. I don't know that, but that makes sense, so I'm assuming that that's how that works. Is it worth it? Effortless dual wielding, we talked about this one in graphic detail the other day, but again, feel free to remind you on this one, because this is a weird one. For those that don't know, when you 2-weapon fight, first, you don't need to have the feat to wield 2 weapons. The downside is you are at a massive penalty if you do not at least pick up that one feat that's called 2-weapon fighting. The downside is that 2-weapon fighting requires you also to have a dexterity of 15, which you might not have. Also, as just more of a side note on that one, there are classes that can get 2-weapon fighting for free. Well, not free, like one of these feats down here that they can pick up as they level up, and they do not need to meet that prerequisite, that high dexterity. That is, a ranger, for example, has access to 2-weapon fighting as a combat style feat, I think is what they call those. And so if you see 2-weapon style, that's what they're referring to. Open it up and you'll see a laundry list of feats that are like 2-weapon fighting and things that are associated with 2-weapon fighting. So again, they do not need to meet those prerequisites. That's a lucky duck that gets that shit. But point is, you're at a penalty if you 2-weapon fight. You know, if you go longsword, longsword. If you go a light weapon in the offhand, so I will just say light weapon and light weapon. You don't have to have light weapons in both, but it's just the way I do things. But if you have a light weapon in your offhand, let's say you're righty, so your offhand will be your left, then your character will be at less of a penalty. How much less? Only 2 points. It's still a benefit, and you'll definitely appreciate it. Well, then here's the thing. Because it has to be a light weapon, people don't like it, because I'd rather go scimitar and be all, you know, Dritzing up in this house and being fucking cool, right? Because Dritz was awesome. He's total edgelord. I get it. No, I don't. I don't understand Dritz. He's cool. I'm not saying he's not cool. It's just I never understood the weirdness that people have with Dritz being fascinating. Anyway, deviating. For him to wield 2 scimitars, those are not considered light weapons. Now, if he was a fighter type that had this, effortless dual wielding, again, he can treat one-handed weapons like scimitars, like longswords, like a variety of weapons. Even rapiers are not light weapons. You can take those one-handed weapons and have one in each hand, and they would not give you that big penalty, which would be a -4 to your swing for each weapon if you 2-weapon fight. It would be -2, the category that would be reserved normally for someone that has a light weapon in their offhand. So why is this a value? You're getting a +2 technically back to your swing. It's not quite the same. You're not taking a -4 penalty, you're taking a -2 penalty. But you get the idea. It's a better chance for you to hit with those weird big-ass weapons. Notice that this will not allow you to do crazy shit like, you know, a bardiche in each hand. I've seen people do the bardiche or the glaive, and there's mods that allow you to cheat like that, I'm sure. But that's some bullshit, and no one does that in real life anyway. So longsword though is a definite viable option because of stuff like this. Again, you don't need it, because again, -4 is not that bad, I suppose, especially for a fighter that gets a BAB of 20. But you probably want it to be -2, wouldn't you? So again, pick that up. Fighter's finesse. Fighter gains the benefits of the weapon finesse feat with all melee weapons that belong to the associated fighter weapon group. Now, after rereading this, I finally understand what this is telling me. I think I looked at this and said, what? How does that make any sense? Because one of the requirements, as you see, is weapon finesse. Let me explain. But the fighter must have the weapon finesse feat before choosing this option. Duh, it's right up there. What do they mean, though? Read the first sentence again. The fighter gains the benefits of weapon finesse. What does weapon finesse do? It allows you to take a dex modifier if it's better than your strength and add it to your swing of a weapon. So if you're a strength of 13 fighter and a dex of 17 fighter, the dex modifier is better. You see that, right? So keep reading. With all melee weapons, not all, that belong to the associated fighter weapon group. Remember down here when we pick a fighter weapon group, that's what this is telling us. So again, if you wanted to wield long swords but with your dexterity, you go for, was it heavy blades? Where's my longsword? Greatsword, longsword. There it is. Any of these weapons, if I get weapon training in heavy blades, that +1 to swing, +1 to damage, all the way up to +4, this is my weapon group. That's what we're talking about here. And every, sorry, where did it go? Fighter's finesse. There you go. The fighter must have weapon finesse. That was a prerequisite. Problem solved. So again, this would allow me to dex-based wield my longsword or greatsword. How weird is that? Again, scythe, fucking trippy, but you get the idea. And then it can be any weapon. So again, if you really, really, really wanted to be a piranha striking, high dex wielding fighter, but still have weapons that traditionally are not weapon finessable, this would make them weapon finessable. You just need to have the right weapon category. So my advice to you would be do that thing and find which weapon category makes the most sense for you, because there's a lot of good shit in here. So, for instance, I mean, obviously stay away from the ranged attacks, the crossbows and all that shit, because you don't need weapon finesse or that. They're already dex-based. So, duh, stay away from that shit. Same with, like, probably like the light blades. Every last one of these are probably weapon finessable anyway. So, again, don't pick this one, because they were already weapon finessable. So you want to pick something that's not a weapon finessable category, mostly, if not all of them. Here's an example of mostly. Why? Because there's no way that the Bardiche and the Dwarven War Axe are weapon finessable. Same with the Great Axe. But the Hand Axe could be, and I think it is. Same with the Light Pick. It could be and probably is. The Throwing Axe, it's already dex-based because it's a ranged weapon. But the point's still the same. You could have some serious fun being a dex-based character with high armor running around with a big-ass fucking axe. But then the downside of that is, remember, your damage is still dictated by, remember, your strength. So how do we get around that? Let's talk about that. It is possible, I believe. Why? Because you have weapon finesse, and remember, there's a mythic ability that you can unlock, or a mythic feat, I think, that you can unlock that's called Weapon Finesse Mythic. And what it does, it takes anything that's weapon finessable and allows you to add your damage to it based on your dexterity modifier now, which is awesome. Would that work on this? I don't know, never tried. But this could be an appealing way of doing a fucking high dex, nice reflexes, decent armor bonus because of that high dex, and you're wearing nothing but like leathers or whatever, and running around with a fucking badass cleave, or what do you call that weapon? Scythe, and fucking just la 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 la, and just fucking lopping heads off in a fucking circle, right? Just yeah. So again, could be fun. I could dig it. And again, some of the weird shit you can do with fighters, which is kind of the point. Fighters reflex, generic. That bonus from our weapon training, remember the +1 to +4, is now added to our reflex saves. So again, +1 to +4 to your reflex, on top of all the other shit that you have. Again, you can see how you're getting to be a pretty damn rounded out character with this shit up in here if you grab the right stuff. We already had bonus to our will saves, which again could be all the way up to a +5 to all your will saves. You probably already had a good con stat. You're a fighter after all. It's probably your best saving throw is Fortitude, and you probably had a decent con because you don't want to have a pussy health pool. So again, HP is important. You can see the appeal there. And then reflexes, if you're already a dex-based build, and then throw on that as well. Now you're up to another +4 by the end of your build for your reflexes. You're a fucking will saving, reflex saving, fortitude saving some bitch, and just a fighter. So again, while people poo-poo on the fighter, poo-poo on you, sir, this one's actually, fighters are pretty damn good. I mean, it's like there's a running joke, and I love just to give a shout out to a channel that's D&D related, like pen and paper D&D related. Oh goddamn! I was gonna shout them out, and I can't remember the name of their fucking channel. Shit! It's like right there. It's Jim Davis is the name of the guy. So if you Google or YouTube search Jim Davis and Pruitt, you'll know there's a duo, two guys talking all the time. They do a really nice intro. It's a very nice channel, very popular channel too. And there's like a running joke about fighters being boring, because again, all they do is they swing their weapon. Okay, it's time to attack, time to swing the weapon. That's all they fucking do. Put up the shield, swing the weapon, and they would bitch about, or not bitch. They would talk about how people would be complaining about how fighters are boring, and Jim Davis would sit there and says, "Well, let's talk about the fighter. What do fighters do? They do what it says on the tin. They check the box of they do damage. They kill shit. It's what they're there for. So if you think a fighter is underpowered compared to, say, a wizard, sure, you're not getting fucking fireball damage out of those guys. But again, on a improved cleaving finish build, on a strength-based fighter build with a really good reach weapon, the circle of damage that bastard can inflict every round, assuming he does the improved cleaving finish, which means he has to kill a target. He's lopping heads off in a fucking circle, buddy. So he's doing his job. So he has potential. It's just, again, people fall into the trope of, much like me hating kineticists or warlocks too, it's the same. It's the, and I attack, and I use my race spell, and I attack, and I use my race spell. And again, even Jim Davis made a comment on that where he's like, I don't know why he doesn't like the war. I want to make sure I'm saying this right. I think he said that he doesn't like warlocks because they bore him, because it's always, you know, use the same blast. It's that the ability that warlocks get that can infinitely use. And let's just say it, you would be using it too if you had access to it. But it's still one of those where it's samey. You're always doing the same shit. And he's like, I don't know why, because he likes playing a fighter. And fighters are samey. It is, you know, time to bust out the bow, shoot some shit. Time to bust out the bow, shoot some shit. Oh, it's time to bust out the great swords. You know, swing and hit some shit. I mean, that's what fighters do. It's the same. Even warlocks have some spell type abilities. So certainly you would be more appealing to play those. And again, I'm exactly the same way. I don't mind playing a fighter. I can't stand playing a kineticist in this game, because its autopilot's too easy, for one. If you build them right, which I don't know how to do, and I never looked into it. Well, that's not true. I looked into it a little. Once I realized that someone could solo Kingmaker with the kineticist when it was unlocked. It was a DLC. Someone figured out within like the first week, probably sooner than that, how to fucking make a purist kineticist and solo the game. Like literally from chapter 1 all the way up. I think they got to like Oleg's where you had to have a party with you, and then left the party behind and just proceeded to solo the game from level 2 to level 20 and just beat the shit out of the game because it was so easy. All you had to do is have a high dexterity because you're having raised spell attacks, kind of, so it's like touch attacks. So again, ranged attacks were awesome. They had infinite use of them, so they just always stayed behind, and you can get your use magic device on any character up and up and up, right? You use the charisma stat, right? Get your charisma stat up and get your use magic device through the fucking roof, and suddenly you can cast any wand and any scroll. Well, get yourself things like haste or expeditious retreat, where you're super fast and zippy, and start blasting them at range, because the range of those blasts are way better than a crossbow. So again, you're shooting shit from across the fucking map, and they cannot retaliate. They have to walk towards your happy ass to even try to shoot you. And if they're not shooters, if they're like melee attackers, they're charging their ass across the battlefield, and they're still nowhere near you. Run a little farther, turn, stop, shoot, pow. It is ridiculously broken for that. And then later on, you get some AoE moves that's just like you can summon tidal waves and just throw water at bad guys in mass, and it knocks them on their ass. And when the water rushes back to them, they take damage, or they trip them, or they do damage as it goes out, and then they trip as they come back, or something weird, where it's just constant crowd control. It's like damage, crowd control, damage, and you can do it infinitely. Like every round, just you're the fucking ocean just wandering around beating the shit out of us. It's fucking weird, man. Again, deviating here, but the point still is the same. Fighters are awesome if you really know what you're doing and how to build them proper. But again, the key is always the same to me. Like any other melee, or hell, any other martial, say it that way, combatant, find out what weapon, or in his case, or her case, what category of weapons you want to be skilled in. I would not pick boring ass shit like bows and crossbows, but that's on you. I would pick something that would allow you to have multiple weapons. Unarmed strike, using your shield, a gauntlet, which I don't know what the hell that means, punching daggers, though I know what those are, and those exist in the game. This is a solid category. Double weapons, those are the ones where you have a backswing, so a double axe where you hit them once and you hit them twice. Dwarven Urgosh, the quarterstaff for some reason is listed here twice, and I don't know how that works, so that's a rarity. But the point's still the same. Find something in here that strikes your fancy. Weirdly, to me, is the natural one. Notice how includes unarmed strikes in all natural weapons. Natural weapons are a lot of things, but unarmed strikes are a natural weapon still, so it should be included. But the point is, if you had like a claw attack or bite, you know, again, there's a tiefling race that you can pick, I think, that gets a free bite attack. This would be a bonus to it. If you go demon mythic path, I think one of the things they give you for free at like the first rank of mythic for demon, which is level 3, I think you get claws for free, and it's like infinite use. So if you wanted to be a clawful bastard, just mauling shit like Sabretooth or whatever, this could be a thing. But again, point is fighters, if you know what you're building for and just kind of stick with it, you do real well. Again, it checks all the boxes, like Jim Davis says. Fighter tactics. What does this one do? This is one we talked about already as well. It does not give you teamwork feats, notice that, but it allows you to basically ignore the requirement of a teammate has to be next to you. That's still there, but they also have to be next to you and have the same teamwork feat. That's normal. Fighter tactics allows you to not have that problem. You can have back-to-back. You get the bonus for it. the teammate standing, let's say this is you and this is your teammate. He does not have back-to-back, but you have it, and you have fighter's tactics. So I will benefit, the fighter will benefit from back-to-back, which means a +2, I want to say, to the armor class. Your teammate who doesn't have it will not benefit. So this is exactly the same thing. It's just reworded differently, but it's exactly basically the same thing as the solo tactics that the Inquisitor gets. It's the same principle. They get theirs for free. It's called solo tactics. It's like level 3, I believe. And once they start getting teamwork feats, that's when it kicks in. And the way theirs works is the same thing. They have a bunch of teamwork feats. They get them for free as they level up. There's like 6 of the fucking things. Now, there's 10 or 12 of these altogether. But the point is they get to pick 6. The ones that they pick, every last one of them works for them thanks to solo tactics. But they still have to have an ally next to them. That could be a teammate, one of the 6, right? That could be a pet, an animal companion. That could be someone in the game that you are just helping because they're an ally. That still should work. It works, or at least in Kingmaker, I haven't tested it recently, but in Kingmaker it worked for summons, and there is an Inquisitor that has access to a lot of really cool summons, so you can imagine it's called Monster Tactician, and that's a fun one. It was the one that broke, in my opinion, the early game of Kingmaker, because people were just using it and just summon pets, and summon pets, and summon more pets, and the pets would just flood the battlefield, and it was also broken in that you could summon some, and then you could summon more on top of that, and that, I think they nerfed that, they took that away. So you can have more than one set of summons out at a time from one character anyway. But in this game, I saw someone do it like I was playing my Sword Saint playthrough. Again, cheating on you guys behind your back by playing my Sword Saint just to see how he can do it. And he's fucking crushing it, by the way. I'm really happy that Crane Wing, Crane Style, and Crane Pass works for him again. Point is, I was playing earlier and I ran into a bad guy, and that bad guy was a summoner, and that summoner summoned a shit ton of fucking pets out. One after the other, like every fucking round, and I had to literally drop the summoner because once he dies, all his pets, his smoke folk, disappear. And he already had like 6 of the fucking things out on the battlefield, if not more. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I need to drop him fast. Thank God Lan was there with his bow and arrow. He fucking did a double tap to his face, and the dude died. And all the fucking pets just poof, disappeared. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Lan. You're the best. But, again, my point, though, was the Inquisitors had the ability to summon multiples, then they took that away. If they've given it back, again, awesome. I'm not worried that it's going to be OP anymore. The devs are on to you. They know your tricks, so they know how to solve that problem. And again, if you doubt that, I used a summoner build. The Monster Tactician was something that I had as a mercenary on my playthrough for Kingmaker. My Triumvirate, I had my main character, which was a Sword Saint. I had a whole backstory for him. You should totally watch that first couple videos. It's pretty cool. The second one was an undead, what was she? Stroll Savant, I believe. And she had amazing spell capable abilities, and she was undead. I used a mod to make her. The other one was a Monster Tactician, an Inquisitor, who had the ability to summon pets. And when we fought in the DLC, it's a standalone, it doesn't have to be. You can actually go to it in the game. It's called the Tenebrous Depths. We got a lot of XP, just the 3 of us going down there as a triumvirate and kicking ass, and it's because of her pets that we were able to maul through a lot of shit. But we got to a point in the Tenebrous Depths, is the reason for this story, is there was a point in the Tenebrous Depths where we come across, I want to say, barbarian trolls, like berserker barbarian trolls. Motherfuckers had a cleave ability. So when she would summon like 4 or 5 whatever doggos or whatever she was summoning at that time to go maul them and slow them down. I don't care if they kill 1, 2, 3, 5 of the dogs with an attack and attack. If they attack 5 times and they kill all 5, whatever. She did their job. They kept us from getting hit. Gave me a chance to cast my spells and for the Scroll Savant to do her thing. But that's not what they did. They did the improved cleaving finish, which means he swung once, killed all her fucking doggos in 1 fucking hit, and still damaged her because she was within fucking range, because trolls have a reach like no one's business. So, like, most of my team was taking damage or dying, like, real fast. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? And it's because of the devs. They realized that people were doing this shit where they were summoning this fodder. This, like, Animate Dead is an amazing spell. The Summon Monsters 3 on up, where you can summon upwards of, was it, like 5 or more pets at a time? You can flood the battlefield. And the bad guys in the game, and there's never more than, I would say, 8 bad guys to fight at any given time on the screen that you're on. That's not to say you can't be in a big area, wander into another area by like a fear spell or whatever, and then aggro like another fucking group of 8. But typically you're fighting in small batches. So by having a team of 6, which you could do, didn't have to, but a team of 6 and then having multiple summons besides out there, you were flooding the battlefield with your fucking smoke folk. and just tearing shit up. The devs figured that shit out, and then the DLC, they added the improved cleave to some of those bad guys so they could take those dudes out real fast. We had to rechange our tactics, is my point. Anyway, back to our stuff. Is this worth grabbing? Totally, especially if you're grabbing multiple teamwork feats and you're not running solo. Remember, you still have to have a companion, an ally, somebody standing next to you. Still a thing. But other than that, amazing. Trained initiative. This one here, let's see. The fighter applies his weapon training bonus, or +1, +2, +3, +4, to initiative checks. And again, is this amazing? Yeah, initiative is very nice. And having a +4 to your initiative for free by the time you get to level 17, that's not great, I'll grant you, but it would stack with other initiative bonuses like having high dexterity and having improved initiative, which is a feat we talked about in a previous video. That's another +4. So you can see how a fighter could get really good initiative. It's not to say you will never be caught flat-footed, you know, the surprise round, but you're less likely to be impacted. Because after the surprise round is over, baby, it's now who's was first on the totem pole. Well, if you have the high initiative, it's you, like almost every time. So again, there's some really good chances for you to run the fuck up and just start pounding shit in the dirt and daring to fucking attack you unawares in the surprise round. Screw you, you wizard bastard. Time for you to die. So again, train initiative, is it worth it? Yeah, it's decent. Now, moving on. These are all the same, by the way. They just open at different times. Eldori Dueling Match, we already talked about it. Alertness, this is a new one. This one is terrible. Rephrase. If you're getting this one, you better be grabbing Skill Focus Perception first. Why? Because it's better. Skill Focus Perception, all the skill focus in general, give you a +3, not a +2, for one skill, the one you picked. So again, Skill Focus Perception. So it's +3 for it instead of +2, so already we're better. Notice how this one gets better once you get 10 points, ranks is what they call it, in that skill. In this case, Perception. They put 10 points, so by level 10, that'd be the soonest you could have that. You'd have to put a point in Perception at every level. So then, boom, at level 10, you have 10. And then because of that, instead of it being +2, it's +4. So you're like, well, this is better. Now it's +4. Well, again, skill focus perception, any of the skill focus, starts off as a +3, and again, has the same mechanic where once you get to 10 points invested in it, it jumps up to +6. So if you're going to get alertness, you better have grabbed skill focus perception first. I'm not saying it's garbage, because perception is always nice, but it would be one of the last ones to grab. Because this is getting an okay bonus where skill focus perception, as you'll see, is already better right out of the box. So again, it's a trap, and the fact that it's an A, no offense, Des, but that's a dick move. That's one where people are like, oh, I like perception, oh, I'll grab that one, without even thinking about it. So again, brother, warn you, don't grab that shit unless it's after you grab the other ones. And there's more than one, by the way. So there's skill focus perception, and there's another ability, kind of like alertness, it has a weird name, that will give you a bonus to perception equal to this and to another skill at the same time. That one's definitely better. Again, get this one, but get it last. Okay? Arcane Strike. This one is weird that it wasn't on our wizard or our combat, or well, not on our combat feats, and it wasn't in our spell casting feats that the wizard had, the very first video I put out for you guys, because it's kind of both. You have to be a caster, magic of some kind. It doesn't even have to be arcane, it can be divine, but any kind of caster can unlock this, and it literally works for, it says melee, that's bullshit, but it's melee or range, so they don't even need to say that, I suppose. They just say damage. It literally is a toggle. I think that's a mistake. It worked beautifully in Kingmaker, and then they somehow borked it up in this game. It still works, it just is glitchy as shit now. But as a swift action, each round you use your swift action to leave the toggle running, which is a mistake. So if you try to do a swift action in Kingmaker, what happens is Arcane Strike shuts itself off. That's fine, because I haven't used my swift action yet until I activated something that round. Well, in this game, in Wrath of the Righteous, you lose your swift action at the start of your round because you left the toggle on. That's stupid. That's a mistake. That's a definite bug report. I maintain the way they should have done this is this should have been a clickable. Literally, it's a swift action, right? So every round, if I want it, I should have to click Arcane Strike. Click! It goes gray. It uses my one and only swift action, and now I get my buff to my weapon. What does it do? +1 damage. That's it. Up to +5. It scales with your caster level. If you're caster level 20, it's +5. As soon as you pick this up, it's a minimum of +1. But it's like every 5 levels, you get another +1. So +1 here, at level 5, it becomes +2. Level 10, it becomes +3. Here's +4. Here's where it's finally +5. And again, solid. Now, on that, I haven't tested this, but I would believe that this could actually go up to +7. We do have two different ways to make a caster level 30 character. Notice how it's based on caster level. Caster level 20 was the cap in Kingmaker, but in this game, 30 is possible. You'd have to be a wizard, a sorcerer, arcanist, I believe, and a lich path purist, or you would have to be a cleric, oracle. I think that's it. With the angel merge spellbook. Sorry. So that would be a level 30 divine caster. So again, they could get this potentially up to +7 if that works. I haven't tested it. I'd trust that it would work though. Still, even if it's only +5, that's +5 damage. And notice how it's any weapon you're wielding. That's your fist, your claws, your bite attacks, your weapons that you actually equip, your ranged weapons that you actually equip. It doesn't work on ray spells. It does not work on melee touch attack spells. So be real clear here. That's not what you're going to get. But it's a weapon buff. Also, notice how it actually counts as being a magic weapon. So if you don't have the ability to enchant your weapons like my Magus do, Inquisitors, wizards, sorcerers of that nature, literally they have to rely on finding a magic weapon. Well, if they get Arcane Strike, it's a magic weapon now, baby. So when they have that damage reduction 10/magic, this is magic. So again, not bad, right? Pretty fucking cool. Again, like I say, if the devs if anyone has the ear of a dev, or the devs would watch my channel, I don't know why you would, but if you did, hey, welcome. Also, not that you're more welcome than anyone else who walked in my show. Point is, if you have the ability to do that, I would turn this honestly not from a toggle. I'd turn that into a clickable. It would be so much easier then, and it wouldn't glitch out because again, it would be activated by the person every round. You would have to go, okay, Arcane Strike. And I know what people are going to say. Well, I don't do turn-based mode. I do real time with pause, and I like it being a toggle because I don't have to think. Great for you. But for the rest of us that would like something that's not busted, turning this into a clickable makes the most sense. Because again, every round I can just decide as my swift action, click, click. If you want to use my advice on this, devs, and make that other idiot that was bitching about, that is made up in my head, that was bitching about how he likes to leave it on as a toggle, you could make me ability to right click that and have it be autopilot. So every round as a swift action, you're using your swift action to autopilot the Arcane Strike. I would love it if you could do that in this game. There should be autopilots for all kinds of things, not just toggles, but for clickables like this. Like you can autopilot, for those of you that don't know, you can autopilot a spell. For example, like a cantrip, an infinite use cantrip. You basically find the cantrip in your tray, or in your spell list that pops up, right click it. Every combat round when it's your turn, the cursor will show that you're trying to use that spell. That's a nice way for you if you're running out of spells and you know, like say you're using Woljif, the one that can do sneak attack damage with his ray spells. I routinely right click Acid Splash, and if he has no spells left, he has infinite use of those, and he can still sneak attack with that acid. And why Acid Splash and not the other ones, you may ask? Good question. It's because Acid Splash is one of your only cantrips that you have that has no spell resistance. They did a solid. It didn't used to be that way in Kingmaker, but they did it right in this game. All the other spells, your Ray of Frost, your Disrupt Undead, all that jazz has spell resistance associated with it. Acid Splash does not. So again, if you're fighting those demons, yeah, you're not going to do any real damage to them with Acid Splash because they're have acid resistance probably 5 or 10. But if he gets a high enough sneak attack on that shit, remember that's also acid damage, and again, that could exceed the 10 or the 5, whatever their damage reduction for acid is. And I have seen him do that, and I have seen him already do some damage, and that's all that matters to me, is that he did something. So again, had nothing to do with Arcane Strike. But the point's still the same. Arcane Strike, is it worth grabbing? Totally worth grabbing. It is a thing you should want to have. Again, you need to be a caster. I don't like that it's called Arcane Strike. I wish they would actually call it Magic Strike, because again, it doesn't have to be arcane magic. It's misleading. But you have to be a caster of something. And the downside for this is the characters that I still routinely shy away from this, and I shouldn't. Like a paladin. Remember, paladins are subcasters. That does not mean this is not based on how many spell levels you get. Remember, Magus can get all the way to spell level 6, right? Up to here. Wizards and sorcerers and other guys can get up to 9. That's the full caster. A Blood Rager can only get up to 4. Paladins and Rangers as well can only get up to level 4. That has nothing to do with this. It's the caster level. And the problem is for the Paladin and the Ranger, they don't get spells at level 1. they don't start unlocking their spells till level 4. Because of that, I think, unless they've changed this, back in Kingmaker it used to be that when you finished as a level 20 paladin, you were caster level 17. That's still a +4 though. So again, my point is I would shy away from it for them. I shouldn't. +4 to your damage is a really nice buff. For frame of reference, that's again any weapon, so it's not limited. And there's feats that you would pick as a fighter that would give you only +2 to your damage, and it's called weapon specialization, and it's only for one weapon, like a longsword or a dagger. Your choice. You pick it as you level up. And then, of course, there's greater weapon specialization. Again, gives you only another +2. So that's +4. Again, fighters, if they had the ability to use this, you better believe they would use this. Now, last thing to point out on this one is because everyone's going to be a caster in this game now. Remember, everyone gets spells. That's the main character, I should say. You open a mythic path, doesn't matter what mythic path you pick, you will get spells. So you are a spellcaster, even if you're a purist fighter, baby. You're a fighter lich or a fighter demon or a fighter angel or a fighter whatever. By level 10 mythic rank of that lich, that demon, that whatever path you pick, you are caster level 20. So this would work for you. And you would be able to grab it, and you would be able to actually get it all the way up to +5. So this is for a main character, is something that, not a must, but it's a good pick. If you were going to get weapon specialization or greater weapon specialization, wait, unless it's necessary for like a feat pick, of course. Wait and get this instead, because this is +5, where those two feats only give you a +4, and only for one weapon, a longsword, for instance. This is any weapon you equip, +5 by the end of the build, of course. That's not bad. So again, definitely makes the cut. What else we got? Notice we have Barding. This is a new armor proficiency category. Because we have mounts in the game, you can give them their own armor. So they would have to be skilled in this, which means you'd have to unlock it for them. Obviously, I'm using my mod. My mod is allowing me to cheat and pick shit that I shouldn't be able to pick. Because I am not an animal companion, or an animal, obviously. But light Barding, and then heavy, medium Barding requires you to have light. And then heavy Barding requires you to have medium, and of course light by default. So again, if you want them to have plate mail, but for a bear or a fucking wolf or whatever, that's what you would unlock for them. And these would be feats that your animal companions would pick as you level them up. Your choice. Is this worth grabbing? I can't say. I mean, it's armor. And again, they can wear armor. They don't cast spells. Why do you give a shit? But still, you know, is it giving them a lot? Not really. But it's still cool. And there's probably magic barding in the game, I would assume. Or if not, you have spells that could buff armor. This is technically armor. So again, like I'm thinking of the cleric spell. What the hell is that one called? The magical vestment. There it is. Can buff either a shield or an armor. Your choice when you cast it. If you cast it on armor, and again you can cast it on a teammate, why not cast it on the barding of the fucking polar bear that's on the team? And he's wearing a fucking piece of leather or whatever, hide armor, you know, for medium armor, whatever he has. Why not make it +1, +2, +5? I would. So again, make that guy tanky. So again, solid choices here. Augment Summoning. We have not talked about this, have we? No, we have. We have talked about this. This is the one that's a +4 to your strength and con for any of your summons. And again, just as a reminder, because it's easy to tune me out. Just as a reminder, remember this is for summon spells. This should not, unless they've changed it, this should not work on undead. It is not a summon spell. It's an animate dead necromancy spell. Same with create undead. Those are not summons. Those are necromancy spells. Summons, they mean conjuration. So again, I proved that to myself a long time ago because I had Augment Summoning and my guys were still swinging like pansies. I'm like, what the fuck? You guys should be +4 all that shit. Well, 1, undead don't have con. 2, the +4 to strength, that would have been nice. But again, it's only like a +2 to their damage and a +2 to their swing. But I wanted it. I invested in it. I should get it, right? Well, then I realized my mistake. Again, conjuration summoning makes sense. This is also why the better version of this feat, the superior summoning, the one that doesn't do anything for strength or con, but it does allow you to summon an extra pet, will not work on animate dead. That's how I knew that if that didn't work, then chances are augmented summoning didn't work, and I tested it and found out. Again, this is back in Kingmaker, so a grain of salt here, but it didn't work then, and I imagine it doesn't work now. But for summons, it will. But superior summoning gives you an extra pet if you are trying to summon more than one. Not even that you would get more than one, that you could. If you can, on the die roll, perhaps get 2 or more things out as a summons, you will get an extra. That's what superior summoning does. And when you do create undead, you only get 1. But when you do animate dead, you're guaranteed 3 to 6 skeletons, I want to say. So you're guaranteed at least a plurality. So with superior summoning, I should be always guaranteed to get 1 more. How do I know it didn't work? Because I found when I did a summons, I got 3 skeletons. How would that be possible? 3 was the minimum. If superior summoning was working, I should have 4. So that's how I knew. That's a bummer. Let's see, what else we got? We talked about you. Oh, here we go. These ones are specific to race, and for whatever reason, when we get to some of these other race-specific feats, they don't have the race listed here. They have it over in the side, which kind of pisses me off, because I like this, because it draws your attention. Oh, you're a Dampier. Yeah, you got that shit. Cool. So Blood Drinker, Blood Feaster, obviously you're drinking the blood of a target, a corpse, or from corpses of living creatures. So after something dies, their body's on the ground, presumably you can click them with this ability and drain some blood from them, healing you temporarily for a certain amount of HP based on how many hit dice you have. Remember, that's your level, but not your level of character or your class, your total level. So if I'm Fighter 1, Wizard 19, I'm 20 hit dice guy. So again, take your total level, divide by 3, minimum is 5, I'm assuming. And you get 5 hit points per. So at level 20, that's capped out. 18 would be where it would finally stop. So 18 divided by 3, what is that, 6? So 6 times 5. You could heal 30 hit points every time you use this. And now the effects last for 1 hour. I'm assuming that means you can't just drink from them every 5 seconds, because that'd be OP as fuck. Maybe. I don't know. Never tried it. But that could be why people want to play the Dampier, the self-healing ability. And a plus, I noticed that this one doesn't require a lot. You just need to be a Dampier. Watch this, though. From an unconscious, helpless, sleeping, or paralyzed living creatures, also corpses. So a lot of things you can drink from. I'm assuming if you're drinking from living, you damage them in some way. You have a +1 bonus on Fortitude saves for 1 hour for doing this, so again, not bad. This 5 hit points times your third of your hit dice is temp HP, so there is that, I suppose. Blood Feaster, and again, definitely worth grabbing if you're a Dampier, obvious. Blood Feaster obviously requires you to be a blood drinker. Hold on a second. Yeah, so you have to have the one above it. But what does this one do for you? Whenever you use a blood drinker feat, this guy, you get a +2 bonus on damage and a +1 on athletics checks, making you more vigorous, I guess. This bonus lasts for a number of rounds equal to half your HD. So early levels ain't shit, but by the end where you're level 20, half of that's 10 rounds. That's a minute. That's not bad. And a +2 to your damage for a minute? I'll fucking take that. You can see this being a really good damage dealing build with something like that on there. Just give me a second while I drink this guy dry. Nom, nom, nom. I don't know why I made nom nom noises. Drinking should be slurping noises. And that would have been gross, so I'm not going to do it. Brew Potions. This one is a new one. Well, not that the others weren't, but this is a new one based on the new mechanic they have in the game. While we're camping, the devs had listened to people bitching about Kingmaker about how we can't scribe our own scrolls, like make our own, or brew potions. Someone added it in a mod. I don't know how they did that, but fucking love you guys. But the devs said, yeah, you know what? That's cool. We should make that a mechanic. And they gave it to us. So now we have the ability to pick this as an ability. You just have to be an intelligence of 3 to do it. Obviously, a caveat on that, something I wish they would add to this. This should actually be bug reported, in my opinion. Brewing potions also requires that you can cast the spell that you're trying to brew, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Maybe you just need to have brew potions. But I think I saw when I tried to camp the earlier today on my Scroll Savant, or not Scroll Savant, my Sword Saint build, I had a teammate. Weirdly, Lon, the monk, has brew potions. I have no fucking idea why he does. And he can't cast any spells. He could not brew a potion, even though I had all the gear for it. So it's like, what the actual fuck, game? So I think it was really because he could not cast spells. So that should be accurate. And again, it kind of makes sense. How can you brew potions if you don't have the ability to infuse the potion with a spell? And be clear on this. When you brew those potions or scribe those scrolls, as we'll see, that's another ability. You do not burn a spell slot to make it. It's not like I'm casting. For example, if I'm trying to brew the Cure Light Wounds potion, just so I have another one for my team, I don't have to physically cast Cure Light Wounds on the potion I'm making. Just that I have the ability to Cure Light Wounds at some point in my life. So again, I don't even have to have them slotted. Just you're a caster with the ability to make that. and then therefore now you have the ability to translate that into a potion, is what that basically works as. First point though here is this is worth having? Yes, and notice how it only spells up to level 3, so there is that. Better than that though, there are some classes that get this for free. Alchemist, my favorite. Well, one of my favorites. You know, I love my Megas. But again, if I do a triumvirate build in a playthrough where I'm literally trying to beat the game with like 3 different people and that's it, it'll be 3 different kinds of people. But you better believe I'm still bringing me a Sword Saint. I'll do a Scroll Savant this time, and then I'll also do a Grenadier. Those 3. Oh, Jesus. I'm going to fucking kill things in that game. With those 3 dudes out leveling the content, no less, because I'll shut off XP share and everything, and it'll be me and these 2 other people will be like ridiculously high. And then you throw on all the mythic rank shit that we're going to get. The problem will be, when I do that, it'll be an evil playthrough. The problem will be which character is going to be my main. The reason that matters is because, remember, the mythic path you pick, you get a spell book. Now, all 3 of the ones that I'm suggesting are casters. The only one that's a full caster would be the Scroll Savant, and they will be badass. But they don't necessarily need to have caster level 20 going to caster level 30 by being a lich. It makes the most sense. But again, then the question becomes, then what is the Sword Saint and what is the Grenadier? The Grenadier can still be part mummy as part of their path, so I don't mind that. So it still fits, like it's going to be my henchman is my Grenadier, and the Sword Saint would be like my, I don't know, bodyguard, I don't know. But the point is, one will be really good at potions, one will be really good at wands, that's the Scroll Savant, and the other one, the Scroll Savant, sorry, the Sword Saint will be really good at wands. The Scroll Savant will be really good at scrolls. So when basically all the 3 usable resources in the game, I have a master for all 3. And that's why that will be an awesome playthrough, in my mind anyway. So again, as an evil playthrough, it's going to be fun. Just saying. But again, that character, the Grenadier, will be getting Brew Potions at level 1 for free, which is fucking cool. Because they're all about potions. Same with the Scroll Savant. I think they get Scribe Scrolls for free, just because they're a Scroll Savant, which is duh. What else we got? Cautious Fire. Here's one that, again, is a race-specific one, which they would have, again, in parentheses here as a halfling, just to draw your attention to it. But it is a prerequisite that you are a halfling, as you can see. When you're fighting defensively, your dodge armor class increases another 2 points. Now remember, fighting defensively is a toggle. It is a massive penalty to your swing, -4. However, there's ways around that. And I don't mean buffs, I mean feats that can take that -4 to a -2, then take a -2 down to a -1. That's what I'm using on Scrolls, or my Sword Saint right now. That's called Crane Style, Crane Wing, Crane Riposte. Crane Style lowers it by 2. Crane Riposte lowers it another point. So when I have fighting defensively and Crane Style on, they're both toggles, I am getting a -1 to my swing. But what do I get for a bonus? My armor goes up dramatically, like 8 points. But I'm not a halfling. If I was a halfling pulling this shit, I could have, with Cautious Fighter, another 2. That's a 10 armor class increase, son. You want to talk about a tank? This is awesome. This is another one that when people bitched, in my opinion, on Kingmaker, I routinely see on the forums. And when I should be real clear, when I talk about forums, I'm not talking about D&D or Pathfinder forums. I'm talking about the forums for the game. So sorry if I misled people. Someone specifically talked about Raw, and I, for the longest time, had no idea what the hell you guys were talking about. And I finally found a channel that started talking about rules as written. That's Raw. That's what that means, I believe. And that's for pen and paper. So when people were talking about, oh, that should work, it works in Raw, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I thought maybe it was another game. So again, when I talk about forums, I'm talking about the forums for this game and, of course, for Pathfinder Kingmaker. So my apologies if I'm just not in the know. But people were bitching in these forums about Lindsay back in Kingmaker days, and they still are for some fucking reason. I get over it. Jesus Christ, she was awesome. I don't know. But you can make her a fucking ungodly tank. Why? Because she can get, since she's charisma based as a bard, and she should stay one, you could do a 1-level dip as a Scaled Fist Monk. It is a subclass of bard that uses charisma instead of wisdom for armor. Strip her butt ass fucking naked, give her some good monk robes. Pick up Cautious Fighter, get Crane Style, Crane Wing, and Crane Riposte, and she's one of the best tanks in the fucking game. She has spells besides that'll buff her, give her some blur, displacement, greater invis. She can barely be fucking touched. And she's just smacking fucking attacks away, and you just keep buffing that charisma, and she already has high dexterity because she's a halfling, so you can just make her dexterity even better. She was fucking ungodly. So for people to bitch back, I hate Lindsay, and I know why they hate Lindsay. They hate Lindsay because of the voice, and I love the voice actress, so kudos to you, Miss, Madam, whoever the fuck you are. They hated the character of Lindsay, the whininess and the high-pitchedness and the always happy is probably what it really was, because she was routinely in a good mood, and some people just hate that. So I think that's what the hate for Lindsay was about, was really with the dialogue. And I did not mind it at all. I never found it to be cringy. I thought it was super funny. And if you were paying attention, for those of you of the LGBTQ plus community, there was a theory, and I don't think it was ever confirmed, but that Lindsay was probably homosexual. And the reason we say that is when you listen to her dialogue when she's talking to who was the character, the half elf that was with Ragungar. Fuck, what's her name? Octavia. When she would have camping dialogue with Octavia, she would flirt kind of with Octavia. Or at the very least, she would say stuff you're like, what the hell did she just say? It was fucking adorable, man. The one that sticks out to me was they were talking about Octavia's blouse or shirt, something like that. And Octavia said something about how she could borrow it. And Lindsay, I assume, because again, it's only dialogue, I assume she blushed after she said it based on the way she said it, but she said something about how she didn't think she could fill it out quite like Octavia could. And I about fell out my chair and laughed so fucking hard. Anyway, gotta get back to these, or we're never gonna get done. Cautious Fighter, solid pick. Obviously, you have to be a halfling, and reminder, you have to be fighting defensively. This is a toggle and a massive penalty besides to get it to work. So only useful if you're gonna do that thing. Again, for me, that thing means that you're getting Crane Style, Crane Wing, and Crane Riposte, and being a halfling. And again, if you're a Scale Fist Monk, I mean, imagine as much as I did the dip for Lindsay for the Scale Fist Monk, only one level, you could be a Scale Fist Monk level 20 as a halfling, and with Cautious Fighter, Crane Wing, Crane Style, and Crane Riposte, you could do some fucking damage and have some good armor. So you want to have a good monk build, go Scale Fist Monk, go halfling, male or female, doesn't matter. And then make sure to pick this up along with Crane Style, Crane Wing, and Crane Riposte as soon as you can. Always fight defensively. Always have that toggle running and Crane Style running. You'll only have like a -1 to your swing, and if you're a dex-based build, which you could be, so get Weapon Finesse. And your punches can be Weapon Finesse, for those of you that don't know, and your punches will scale. Now, because you're a teeny tiny person, the damage is less, but again, so what? They're still scaling in a way that's better than any normal weapon in the game. You could be really tanky. This would be a really good playthrough as a monk, by the way, as a halfling, because of shit like this. Going on. We've already talked about that one. We talked about this one. I think we have Combat Expertise. Yeah, because this is a -1 to your swing. It's a lot like Power Attack, but instead of a -1 +2 to your damage, it's a -1 to your attack +1 to your dodge. This is when you have to be intelligent, like actually intelligent to use this one. So intelligence is a 13. And it also unlocks a variety of feats like Trip. Yeah, your combat maneuver shit, which again is why I'm not a fan. I'm also not a fan because of this massive penalty. -1 against scales. And for frame of reference, that scale is based on your base attack bonus. So at my base attack bonus of 20 of Purest Fighter, for example, if they had this, if they were smart enough and they had this, turn this toggle on, they're at a -6 to their swing just from this toggle, +6 to their armor. Dodge armor, which is not the best category ever. So if you're flat-footed, you get boned. Again, is that helpful? Sure. Is that also bad? Also sure, because -6, fuck that. It's already bad enough that you have Power Attack or Piranha Strike on, right? So yeah, don't do that one, in my mind. Unless you need it to unlock, like I said, those feats that you care about, like Trip, Disarm, Dirty Trick, stuff of that nature. What else we got? Combat Mobility. I don't think we talked about this one. Just in case, I'm going to talk about it now. This is weird. It's not that this is bad. It's just I routinely can't care. There's no prerequisite, so know that. I don't think. You don't need, like, no, take that back. Sorry, you need dodge and you need dexterity. My bad. Maybe it's combat reflexes, I'm thinking. Yeah, yeah. Combat mobility, though, you have to be somewhat dexterous and have the feat called dodge, which, again, cool. This is +4 more dodge, but only when you are moving in and out of a threatened zone. So the threatened area, for those of you who don't know, is that 5-foot melee circle around a bad guy. And if you don't do a 5-foot stutter step, which is why I love turn-based combat, because you can force yourself to do that shit, you can not be threatening that guy and get out of his zone of influence. But if you don't, if you just move, and you move like 6 feet, and you get out of his zone of influence, that motherfucker will get an attack of opportunity on you. Well, this gives you +4 armor against that attack. But keep reading. Any condition that makes you lose your dexterity, like if the motherfucker's invisible and I'm flat-footed because I can't see him, I move out of his zone of influence, he will attack me, and I don't get that +4 dodge. So this one, again, is another one that's, in theory, it could be okay. More useful on a melee combatant to me, because you probably want to weave in and out of combat to get to that guy in the back that's being a dick, the archer, the wizard, the whatever. So that would be when you would use that. But there's even spells that can make you immune to attacks of opportunity. It's called Grace. It's a terrible spell. It's like a level 1 spell, like a paladin, I think, can get it too. It only lasts, the reason why it's terrible, it only lasts for 1 round. But it's a swift action spell, I believe, so you can literally cast it and then book it. You just like, and chimp your way from here to there between all kinds of bad guys, and they do not get attacks of opportunity the entire time. 1 round only. But that's more powerful than you think, and I'd rather use that spell than use this feat. What else we got? Combat Reflexes. I'm sure we've talked about that already. We've talked about these teamwork feats, talked about talked about that in graphic detail. They're awesome. You will love them. Talked about these guys. Yes. Deceitful. Here we go. Here's one that requires you to have a brain. Also, notice how this is very similar to what we talked about when we talked about alertness. This is where we start getting into these feats that are bonuses to skills. And I like these ones because these are bonuses to 2 skills for the price of 1 feat. +2 to persuasion and trickery, both for free. Just, well, not free, you pick the feat, but the point is they just add it to both those skills for you. Notice if you have at least 10 ranks in either, the one that has 10 ranks or more in it, that's 10 points put it in it, you will get a +4 instead of a +2. So obviously make persuasion and trickery at least up to 10 points, and you'll see a nice +4 bonus for each of them, which is not bad. So this is, again, when I do like a skill monkey build, this is one that I routinely grab. Deflect Arrows, we've talked about it, I believe, if not just in passing. A monk feat typically, but doesn't have to be. You just need a dexterity and improved on our strike and be a humanoid that has an intelligence of 3. And you literally can smack arrows out of the air. Weirdly, I thought this one required dodge. It does not. I thought it did. This one, the point is this one is, again, as long as you are aware of the ranged weapon attack. I say arrows, that shouldn't. It could be a throwing axe, it could be a dart, it could be a sling staff bullet, it can be a crossbow bolt, it can be a javelin, it can be anything that's a ranged weapon, not a spell, not a ray spell, but anything else that's a ranged weapon that's not obviously like someone hits you with a fucking boulder or some shit like that. That don't count. Anything that's small, put it that way, you can just bat it out of the air. 1 around, literally the first attack that would penetrate your armor, you just, nope, fuck you. So again, so once per round when you would normally be hit. Notice that phrasing there too. So not just, he shot at me, I deflect it. Well, was he going to hit you anyway? No. So then why the fuck did you deflect it? That's not what's happening here. It would be, he shot you, it should have hit you, nope, sorry, and you bat it out of the air. Just, deflect arrows. But only once a round. But that's powerful, and that's really nice on a tanky build like my Sword Saint that I'm making. I'm yet to decide if I'm getting deflect arrows, but it's real tempting. It's that good. But remember, also on this one, though, you need to be aware of it. So again, if you're flat-footed, you don't get to block it. If you are anything else that would make you flat-footed, like they're invisible, so you don't see it coming, basically is my point, you don't block it, because how do you know? You're not psychic. Maybe you are. But your character isn't. So again, deflect arrows good, not great, but still definitely solid. Deft Hands, another one of those that's a 2-skill bonus. Notice this one's trickery again, and now use magic device. Again, +2, +4 if it's 10 ranks or more in whichever skill we're talking about. If it's at both, then it will be for both. Again, on a skill monkey build, amazing. Destructive Dispel, this is another one that surprises me that this wasn't in our magic list. And remember I talked about spell casting feats and shit like that, like our meta magics and spell focus and spell pen and all that shit we talked about the very first video I did. This one I thought would have been on the list. So whenever you successfully try to dispel something, so dispel magic or greater dispel magic or something similar, There's probably like another spell that I just don't know about. Against an opponent, that opponent must succeed at a Fortitude save. DC equals the DC of the spell used to dispel. So if it's dispel magic, I want to say that's level 3. If it's greater dispel magic, I think that's level 6. It's not bad. Or be stunned, and there might be a way to buff that Fortitude save, by the way, the DC check, by the way, because dispel magic and greater dispel magic, I believe, are abjuration spells. So if you had, say, spell focus abjuration and greater spell focus abjuration, something I would never do, but you could, that might buff this, just so you're clear. Point is they do the Fortitude save, or if they fail it, they're stunned until the start of your next turn. Your turn, not theirs. If the save succeeds, the opponent is instead sickened until the start of your next turn. So that's still something. So this is, again, on a caster build, especially a caster build where you know you're going to get dispel magic, obviously. And the reason I say that is because while wizards can just scribe it and have it, remember there's things like sorcerers and inquisitors and my eldritch scions that are spontaneous casters that may not get this spell as they level up. You have to pick it, and then it's yours for all time. So if you're going to grab this, make sure to grab Dispel Magic first, or Greater Dispel Magic, or know that it's coming. But I would wait until you actually have it in your pocket before you start grabbing shit like this. And there's more than just this one feat for this, by the way. But this one's decent, and I can see the appeal. Diehard. This one, again, mimics Orc Ferocity. That's why it says does not have the following feature. So if you're a half-orc, you get this thing called Orc Ferocity, which is the same as this for free. So you don't get to pick it again. But for anyone else, you can pick this thing called Diehard. When you're literally taking to 0 HP, but you're not officially killed, you can fight for one more round, which I hate that they say fight. That they mean is you can stand on your feet for one more round. Why does that matter? Well, for one, if the guy is almost dead and one more attack is enough to kill him, remember, you'll die, but then you'll get the fuck back up, right? Because everyone's dead, everyone raises off the ground that didn't permanently die. They get like 1, 2, or 3 hit points, right? So again, you're knocked out, but then you're basically rezzed, so to speak. So that's cool, but the way you should be using this one is, oh shit, I should be dead. I got one more turn left. Let me chuck a potion to heal myself. Whoop, and you see the appeal. This one, in conjunction with a mythic ability called Emergency Potion, I think, is amazeballs. Why? Because Emergency Potion allows you to drink any potion that you have equipped in your belt as a swift action, I think, or a free action. It's one of the two. I think it's a swift action. So what does that mean? Why is that important? Because if you drink a potion in this game in combat, that is an attack of opportunity, which means you're healing yourself, but then everyone's going to try to smack you in the fucking face. I don't want that. So again, make it a swift action. So this one, in conjunction with Emergency Potion, would be amazeball, especially on a frontliner, someone with a high amount of hit points. Give him some Cure Light Wounds, Cure Moderate Wounds, Cure Serious, Cure Critical, and, my favorite, Heal Potions. So that when he fucking has his health go like way the fuck down to 0, -5 or whatever, he's almost fucking dead. Oh shit. Diehard kicks in, or Orc Ferocity if he's a half-orc. And then his next turn, swift action, heal myself. That's 150 fucking health back with a heal potion. That's amazing. You whoop. Nope, I'm back in it. Fuck you. And hopefully you can get him the fuck out of dodge or kill whoever did all that damage. Maybe it's just a bad die roll. It happens. So again, in conjunction with something like that, that would be amazing. Dirty Trick talked about, Disarm talked about, Disarming Strike. We didn't talk about this one. Let's see, Disarm, Intelligence, and Bab. It's got a critical hit. Oh, basically, this allows you to use Disarm. Now, that's not bad. This is another example of like those trip feats that I hate. I hate trip, but I like the feats that allow me to trip for free in conjunction with me attacking. This is the same kind of thing, but with Disarm. I crit, and I will do a check to see if I disarm my opponent. So this would be really good in my mind. I mean, I know it's not the only person that can use this. This is the person that would use this for like a duelist, like a rapier wielding son of a bitch, or dueling sword bastard that would literally be like critical hit, and then I disarm you at the same time. I know that's not the only way to use it. I'm just saying that that's what strikes my brain. So it could be of value, but notice that it requires disarm, and disarm requires combat expertise or kinetic warrior and in high intelligence. So yeah, could be okay, I guess. Dispel Synergy. Here's another dispel one, again, another magic thing. If you successfully dispel an ongoing magical effect on an opponent, that opponent now takes a -2 to saving throws against your spells for 1 round. Now, from that point on, obviously not the dispel effect. So again, another one that's dispel related. Okay, Dispel Magic, Greater Dispel Magic. You can see the appeal here. It's only for 1 round, but that means your next turn he's going to be, at a -2. So that's not bad. I can see that being okay. Disruptive. This one feels like it should be Dispel Magic, but it's not. Notice how this one, again, you need to be fire level 6 or be arcane, which just means probably arcane caster of some kind. But you have to have a minimum intelligence. Disruptive. The DC to cast spells defensively increases by 4 for all enemies that are within 10 feet of you. Now imagine that on like a fighter build where you're like up and in it, and all those fucking casters are trying to cast spells and not provoke attacks of opportunity. That's what we're talking about here. So they have a +4 to their check now. That's pretty good. I can see that being interesting. We'll talk about those. Here's Dragon Roar finally. It wasn't there before. This is the one that I said that's part of your Dragon Style. So there's Dragon Style, Dragon Ferocity, and then Dragon Roar. Dragon Roar is the third on that list to me, anyway, even though it doesn't have to be. It has to be the second one. You have to have at least Dragon Style. And again, what Dragon Roar does is it allows you to take your Stunning Fist attempts, and you use like 2 of them, I think. Yeah, 2 per, and you roar in a cone. That cone, though, instead of doing like sonic damage or any kind of elemental damage, it's all bludgeoning damage. So again, physical damage, but it's equal to your unarmed strike damage, which means for someone that's dipping into dragon, the monk, it's going to be lame sauce. It's going to be like 1d6 of damage plus like some strength modifiers or some shit like that. You'd be like, ooh, who cares? But if you're a purist monk, remember you're at level 20, your monk damage for your unarmed strikes, if you're a normal sized humanoid, not a halfling or a gnome, you do 2d10 of damage, Sunshine. Now imagine 2d10 of damage in a cone. It's not teammate friendly, so be careful with it. And it also has that shaking condition for 1 to 4 rounds. Notice the will save prevents the target from being shaken. It has nothing to do with the damage. And 2d10 of damage in a cone, that's not bad. And I think you still get to add your strength modifiers or your dex modifiers if applicable, power attack, piranha strike, all that shit. I think it's factored in there too. So it's not just 2d10. I think it's more than. That's pretty cool. And if you make yourself a bigger size category, remember your fist damage goes up, which means that the Dragon Roar damage would go up presumably as well. So that's not bad. It's a good use for Stunning Fist because I routinely forget that I even have those. So like when I get like 3 bad guys, because the cone is kind of small, 15 feet cone is pretty shit. But if you get like 3 guys up and in you in the corner, I'll routinely, if I have Dragon Roar, I'll just scream at the motherfuckers and watch their health just go. Rrr. And notice that's not a spell, so there is no spell resistance or spell pen or issues or immunity to magic. No, sir. This is physical fucking damage. Fuck you, you prick. Dragon Roar. So it's pretty cool. What else we got? And notice the requirements on this thing again. Improved Unarmed Strike, your Dragon Style, your Stunning Fist, which most people would have anyway as a monk for free. Same with Improved Unarmed Strike. Dragon Style you'd have to pick. Stunning Fist, people would have to pick that as well. If you're not a monk. And Improved Unarmed Strike, people would have to pick that again as well. But we can get that free in the background. So I would do that if you want to go that route. Simulating being a monk without actually being one. But that would be weird to me. And a mobility, high mobility, and a strong strength, I'm assuming, for strong lungs. I don't know. But again, Dragon Style is always about strength anyway. What else we got? Echoes of Stone. This is another race-based one. This is for the Oread, new stone people. Echoes of Stone. This is a good one, in my opinion. Notice that there's no prerequisite other than you are an Oread. So level 1, you can pick this shit up. +4 racial bonus to perception, which means it'll stack with all kinds of shit. So you get a solid +4 to your perception check and a +2 bonus on initiative rolls. That's a lot, but keep reading. This is the downside. Only when you're underground. So if you're in the fucking city, in someone's house, if you're on a mountaintop, you ain't getting any of that shit. But if you're underground suddenly, and again, I don't know how often you're underground. I know we start the game underground, but we know that don't last long. So situationally useful. And again, for free, like again on the fighter levels and shit, where I get all these extra fucking feats, I can get all my combat shit down here. I'll grab, Echoes of Stone up here or something. I don't mind. But again, on you. Elemental Fist, again, this is another combat one, but I don't think we talked about it. This is the one that's, again, a monk style type thing where you literally are picking it once you have Improved Unarmed Strike. Some monks get this for free, especially my Oread, that is the Stone Oread. He's I forget the name of the subclass of monk, but it's something of stone, like Messenger of Stone or some shit like that. And they get this for free, but their version is only for acid. This version allows you to turn your fist and give you like fire or electric or cold or acid damage, your choice when you cast it. So you get to pick which elemental type you do. It's only 1d6 of damage, and it's only like once a day or some shit like that. Like you can unlock more uses a day or some shit. But by and large, it's kind of weird. But it's of value in that, it's like in Kingmaker anyway. I don't know about it in this game, but in Kingmaker, some monsters will only die if you set them on fire or hit them with acid. They can trolls now. So imagine having Elemental Fist in that game. So you can see the appeal, especially on a martial character that doesn't have spells. Endurance, we talked about that one already. All these ones as well. Notice here we get into the extras. These are definitely new. So I'm not going to go through these other than just to point out that who they use for and are they any good. Arcane Pool. So this is for, notice this is Arcane Pool or Eldritch Pool. It works for either. This is for people that have, obviously, an Arcane Pool or an Eldritch Pool. That's Magus. And it's only a +2. So it's +2 more uses a day. For those of you that don't know, we can buff our weapon as a Magus for 1 minute at a time per one of these uses. There's other things you can use these for though too. So there's reason to want these, and I believe you can grab this multiple times, and every time you grab it you get another 2. Yeah, it says so in the tooltip. But it's still a bad idea. It's not, you never feel like you're like, boy, if I only had 2 more of those uses a day. Really? It never happens. So this is kind of garbage. Bane weapon on the other hand, 3 additional rounds per day. That's basically 3 uses, but that's more than 3 uses. That's every attack you swing in that round. So if you're getting 1 attack, this is kind of garbage. If you're getting 3, that's not bad. If you're getting 6 or 7, now we're talking. And what does this do? This is the Inquisitor Bane weapon ability. So obviously they have to have Bane, which is the prerequisite. That's an Inquisitor that gets that. There might be another class that does too, but I don't know that for a fact. But definitely for the Inquisitor, this is a solid upgrade. When they get this, again, you can probably grab this multiple times a day again. Doesn't say that though. But if you grab this, again, you get 3 more uses, or 3 more rounds where you can leave this toggle on. What does Bane Weapon do, though? Bane Weapon, for them, allows them to activate the toggle, and anyone they're swinging their weapon at, whether it's a melee weapon or ranged weapon, it's not their spells. Their melee weapon or the ranged weapon will suddenly become +2 better, and I mean better. So if it's already a +5 weapon, that's normally the cap in this game. Nuh-uh, not with a Bane Weapon. You can bring it up to a +7 with this. So that works. So it will stack with your magic weapon, is what I'm telling you. And then, so not only is it a +2 to swing, it's a +2 to your damage. And then, because it's a Bane weapon, Bane weapons do 2d6 of force damage to the motherfucker, in addition to the extra 2 damage that you got from the Bane +2. So that's basically 2d6 +2 damage per swing for free. Now that's only 3 more rounds, but again, I can see this being useful. Could I convince myself it's worth grabbing it or grabbing a lot of them? No. But could I grab it once and not feel like I've screwed myself? Yeah. Extra Blood Rage, same principle here, but I love the fact that it's 6 additional rounds a day. And notice this is specifically for Blood Rages, not Rages. There's one for that. But for Blood Ragers, this is not bad. And another little caveat, and again, you can grab it multiple times, blah, blah, blah. But the other caveat here is there's an ability that you can get in the Mythic Path that gives you unlimited rage, including Blood Rage. The way it works is the number of rages, rounds that you have, including this +6 here, instead of it going down every round, because it doesn't, it's unlimited, that's the whole point. For every round though that you could have raged, you get temp HP. I think it's like every 2 rounds. So this, every time you grab this is another 3 temporary hit points for your character. It's not amazing, I'll grant you, but again, on a Blood Rage or a Rage build, which is again what extra rage down here is all about, it's the same thing. When you get that unlimited rage ability, this is actually of value now because it's giving you temp HP higher than you originally had. Again, it's only 3, but until you get it, and that's the real selling point here, until you unlock that mythic ability or feat, whatever the fuck it is, the 6 additional rounds a day, that's a lot. So if I would get this in a build, I would get it sooner than later. Same with Rage. I would get it sooner than later. But it's still one of those where if you can fucking stall and feel okay about not having it, you're fine. Extra bombs. What's there to say about having 4 more bombs a day? Get it? Yes, please. This one is like on Jubilost back in Kingmaker. I would grab these a lot because he was all about his bombs. I mean, and he had an ability called Fast Bombs. And I told you there's a trick on that where you literally, Fast Bombs works on how many attacks you get in a round. And if you switch to 2-weapon fighting with javelins and darts and shit like that, and you have, so 2-weapon fighting, improved 2-weapon fighting, and greater 2-weapon fighting, so that's 3 more attacks a round. And you have Rapid Shot on, that's another attack a round. You could literally do that and give him 7 bombs minimum. 8, I think, if you did like speed weapon, or haste buff, I should say, on that character, which he could do himself. And suddenly he's chucking like 8 bombs in a combat round instead of 1. And again, you want to talk about a happy camper, man. Watch me fucking play a Kingmaker back in my old playthrough and watch me give him those abilities and watch how fast he just destroys boss fights. People bitch about alchemists. Don't myself, you barely have any spells. bombs are lame. Yeah, you're playing him wrong. Trust me on that one, because he was one of my most OP DPS on my party. If it wasn't him, it was Ekendayo. Between the two of those guys, my days were done. Like, I could just, like, fucking sit back and sip a tea, because these two were fucking just owning everything. And why? Because Ekendayo had hella damage, lots of bow shots, and then B, for Jubilas, his bombs, when he had them, because you want to have as many as possible, because you burn through them real quick this way. But the point is, his bombs were all touch attack. So when something couldn't be hit easily because Ekendayo had to hit him with a bow and arrow, then I just sent in Jubilas. And he was just like, bomb, 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 bomb. And again, you give him different kinds of bombs. So this is, so the way bombs work, let's talk about this real quick. The way bombs work in the game is it's a pool. So you have, just to give you a number, 20 bombs a day. But he has fire bombs, that's the one they give you to start with. Then you can get like cold bombs. You could get poison bombs, that make like stinking cloud. You can get ones that make curses, but they all pool from the same number a day. So if you have 20 a day, you have 20 of any of them. Every time you use a bomb, all the numbers will go down. So you get to pick and choose. That's why I consider bombs spells, because it really is at that point. It's just a bunch of different fucking spells. So if I have 40 bombs a day, that's 40 spells a day, baby. So getting this feat anytime or multiple times, that's 4 more spells a day. Tell me that ain't fucking appealing. That's way better than some of this other shit we've been talking about. So again, that's not bad. I could see getting this. I think I grabbed it on Jubilas like 3 fucking times just to give him like 12 more bombs, just to be a dick. And there's gear in the game too, by the way, at least in Kingmaker, that if you wear this gear, he'll get like 2 or 4 more bombs a day or 8 more bombs a day. He was a little badass, is my point. Bombs are always appreciated. Don't quote me on that, because that looks bad. Brother Mutant for 2022 president, or whatever the fuck it is. He said specifically, bombs are always good. Alright, extra channel. Notice again the list of people that can channel. Remember we talked about Selective Channel and how there was a laundry list of a prerequisite was channel positive energy, and there was like 7 of them. And here's why. Because it could have been a cleric's channel positive energy. It could have been an Imperial Sorcerer. This is an actual sorcerer, charisma or wisdom based, I think, sorcerer that can heal. I want to talk about fucking cool. A hex channeler, obviously, I'm guessing a witch. A hospitaler, the different kind of cleric, I believe. Oracle, the spontaneous caster that's like a cleric but not. Shamans, fucking awesome. And again, so any of those, that's just extra channels today, and it's only 2. Again, bang for your buck. Early levels, this is garbage, but at the end of the game, when you're cleric or oracle or whoever is healing like AoE like 5d6 or 6d6 or greater fucking health AoE style for the whole fucking party, that's a lot of fucking healing. To give them 2 more of them, it's not bad. And remember, that could also be used to damage undead or heal undead and damage the living. Again, your choice, but the point's still the same. These are not bad. I wouldn't grab too many, but grabbing one if I don't know what else to pick, I don't mind it. Extra lay on hands, obviously for a paladin, but notice it's not just a paladin, because you have to have either lay on hands, that's a paladin, or healer's way, and I don't know who gets that one. That's cool. And again, this is 2 additional uses a day. This is garbage. I would not take this. You can take it multiple times. This is wasteful. Your lay on hands are not that good. And again, you get plenty, so it's not like you're screwed by not getting this. Early levels, you kind of feel it, but again, getting 2 more, just buy a fucking potion, you cheap bastard. I will say this though, remember the paladins, at least I don't know about whoever does healer's way, but paladins, they have upgrades to their lay on hands. I will say this. When they upgrade, they call them mercies. Their mercies can be used to cure other effects like blindness, poison, curses, fatigue, exhaustion, just a random bunch of shit. You have to pick which mercy as you level up. But they're at that point, they're baked into the healing. So anytime I do lay on hands for example, the first one I grab is fatigue. Why? Because I hate when my teammates are fucking tired. That's a -2 to their strength, -2 to their dex. That's a penalty to a swing, probably a penalty to damage. That's also a penalty to armor. It's a penalty to reflex saves. I don't like that. So again, I will use a lay on hands to remove fatigue. It will heal them too. It does both. And when I upgrade to the other ones, I'll get the ones that cure exhaustion. I'll get ones that cure poison. I'll get ones that cure, and your choice. It cures a bunch of shit. Like you can cure paralysis, sickness, stun, basically any kind of effect can be cured with lay on hands. You just have to have the right mercy, and you can only pick like 4. and there's like 12 of the goddamn things. So again, you're not going to be able to cure everything, but you can have some fun with it. So again, there is a reason to want extra uses a day, I suppose. But again, if you're really having that kind of an issue, you got to worry more about your tactics than you worry about, I only have 2 more lay on hands and I would be fine. Yeah, no, that's you had a bad playthrough. So again, okay, not great. Extra performances, 6 additional rounds a day. Now this one again makes honorable mention for me compared to this other crap we've been talking about, because A, it's 6, you can grab it multiple times, obvious, but it's Bardic Performance. Remember, we talked about one at the very beginning of this video, if you go that far back, where we talked about Lingering Performance, where you can turn the song on for 1 round, shut it off immediately, and it lasts for 2 more rounds. So that's 3 rounds. So technically, if you do that with every one of these additional rounds a day, it's not 6, it's technically 18. That's not bad. Also, remember I talked about the Thunder Caller, a specific subclass of Bard. They can use their performances, their rounds a day, as a power, a sonic blast, if you will, an AoE spell that gets better over time. So the higher level Bard they are, the Thunder Caller they are, the more damage it does. But that's per use. So each use uses up a round. So this is 6 spells a day, technically, to me. So on a Thunder Caller build, this is a no-brainer. 6 more spells a day of something that does, I think, like 5d8 or 5d10 or 5d12 or something like that, a damage AoE style, and has a built-in stun component to it. AoE style, it's not teammate friendly, but other than that, fuck yeah, I want those. And I will also get Lingering Performance, and again, if I don't use it for spells, I'll use it for actual songs. So this is a solid choice for a Bard, and probably would work, I think, on a Scald. I don't think they work on the Sensei. I did mention that, I think, earlier, that the Lingering Performance, there is other classes that have something that's like Bardic Performance, but they don't call it that. The way you will know is if you can pick it up, then it should work. That's the only advice I have for you. I mean, I have it because I'm using a mod. But again, the Sensei has a song that they can basically buff their team. It's just, it behaves exactly like the Inspire Competence song from the Bard, but they don't call it Bardic Performance. It's like Teacher's Teaching or something stupid. And again, it behaves in the same manner. So extra performance should work. If it doesn't, again, you can try to bug report it. I don't think they'll care. But I would be happy to get it for a Sensei. I mean, they have it. It's an ability they have. It should work for them, I would think. I would call it extra performance. I'd give them a different category and call it extra Sensei teaching or something stupid like that. But point is again, it will work on the Bards for sure and probably Skulls. Extra Raid, we already talked about it when we talked about Blood Rager, but it's the same general principle. 6 additional rounds a day is not bad. I'd grab it sooner than later because at the end of the build, you're going to have like 40 plus rounds of Rage a day. And you may think that that's plenty. It really isn't. But when we get the Mythic that unlocks, unlocks, that literally makes your Rage limitless, where the toggle never goes down in number, I'll still happily take another 6 additional rounds a day, because again, that's more temp HP every time I start fighting, which means every time I start fighting, I get more health, temp health. Extra Rage powers. These are all your Rage powers. I'm not going to go over all of them because that's going to take more effort than I want to do today. There's some good shit in here, though, and again, there's prerequisites. These are for those barbarians, and there is a Blood Rager that can get these, I believe. The trick on that one is the Blood Rager, that it's a subclass of Blood Rager. The one that picks that specific class loses out on a lot of their bloodline abilities, which is a bad idea to me. But I suppose if you wanted to still cast spells and have this ability, you could do that thing. But there's some fun to be had here. Specifically, special shout out to like Celestial Blood Rager or Ragers and Blood Ragers for an Angel Mythic Path run or a Demon Mythic Path run for the Demon Totems that you're seeing here. Notice there's Fiend, which is obviously Devils. There's some other just general stances, and again, if you want to go to Spirit Totem, that's a new one for me too. They keep talking about how there's a Dragon Totem. I have yet to see the Dragon Totem ever. Oh, Beast Totem, I forgot about that. But if you want to do like claw attacks and bite attacks and shit like that, some of those are in those rage powers as well. There's different stances. Those stances will be like penalties to your swing, bonuses to your armor, bonuses to your swing and your damage, but a penalty to your armor, and there's a variety of things that you can do with those different stances, and I think there's at least 3 of them. So there's guarded stance, lethal stance, and deadly stance, or reckless stance, or a lot of stances is my point. And they're basically toggles that you turn on only while raging. And there's some fun to be had there, because some are like if you're, let's just say you're a rager, you're DPSing, some of those stances are really good at fucking just dishing out damage. Now, the downside is it lowers your armor class in some cases, But again, you're reckless. This is the fucking point of being a rager. I mean, how the hell? All right, let me rage, but let me be controlled about it. All right, fuck you. And the whole point of raging was just going rah and just fucking running into battle like a fucking crackhead or meth head or whatever, and fucking just dealing some damage. So the stances are cool. I will say that. So you should look into that. Now, having said that, you get those free as you level up anyway, like as a barbarian, probably also as a blood rager, that specific subclass. But you can, as a feat pick up here, grab another one. So if you want to diversify, kind of like with your crane style, crane wing, crane riposte, you can get the different stances, like guarded stance, lethal stance, or deadly accuracy, blah blah blah. And some, again, they're prerequisites, so you'll have to build into it. But you could have more than one stance. You can't have more than one stance on. Also, one last note, just to save you the headache now, and it tells you in the tool test, but you cannot pick more than one totem. You can grab lesser, regular, which is just the blank one here, and then greater, sure. But you can't be a beast totem and a celestial totem and a demon totem. You can only pick one. So whichever one you want is the one you're stuck with, buddy. So make sure you like it. So read all three is my advice to you. What do we got? We got Great Fortitude. And so now there's like 3 of these fuckers. Actually 6. There's this one. There's going to be another one. So this is for Fortitude saves. Just a +2 to all your Fortitude saves. There's one that's a +2 for all your Reflex. There's a one for +2 for all your Will. And then there's the improved versions. So improved Great Fortitude, which we'll see here in just a mo. And that's a +4. They don't stack. It's just another +2. So a +4 total. So again, for shoring up some of those defenses that you have in your different saving throw categories, these are okay. Again, I routinely don't take them, but like again on a fighter build that has extra feats, hey man, if like the one thing that's like missing is extra reflex or will saves or whatever, hey, do that thing. This is the one though for Fortitude. What else we got? What we got? No, we talked about those. Here's the improved Great Fortitude, so you can get another +2. And again, I don't like that it doesn't say will stack with Great Fortitude. They should actually say that, or it should say +4 replacing Great Fortitude or something of that nature. But it does stack. It's a total of a +4. This is where we get into some weird shit. Now watch this, and this is if you're going to pay attention to anything and you're just listening to this in your background, please note this one. These ones here are locked behind a specific mythic path. And I want to say, let me think about it. Is this the Trickster? I think this is the Trickster Mythic Path. It has the ability to unlock this if you pick the right thing. Notice how you need a Perception rank 2? That doesn't mean 2 points of Perception. When you unlock the Trickster Mythic Path, you will get an ability to upgrade your skills in fantastic ways. The ones that unlock Perception, you see how it says Perception 2 rank? So you can unlock Perception to rank 1, then rank 2, then rank 3 eventually if you choose. But rank 2 will unlock these feats. You'll suddenly have access to them. And so will your team, by the way. But what do they do then, brethren? Well, notice how improved critical, we've talked about it before, that's this guy up here, doubles your crit range of a weapon. So if it's a crit only on a 20, it now could crit on a 19 and 20. If it crits on an 18, 19, and 20, now it doubles that range to 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's a crit fishing build. It's an amazing build. But watch this shit. This is shit you couldn't do in Kingmaker. Improved critical increases your threat range of your weapon, the one that you pick, because again you have to pick a weapon, by 1. And that is applied before this. So now let's go back to your fist. Let's say you have Unarmed Strike. That's probably the last one. Oh, second to last. Warhammer, you bastard. Unarmed Strike. Crits on a nat 20, always for everybody. If you grab this version, the improved critical, now it's critting on a 19-20. If I have improved critical feat, if I grab this feat now for Unarmed Strike, instead of it critting on a 19 and 20, because of that other one I just picked up, it would be double the range, which means not 18, 19, 20. No, it would be 17, 18, 19, 20. That's a nice fucking monk build right there. Those bastards do some heavy damage at the end. Be a trickster monk is my advice to you. Not done yet. Why am I not done yet? Well, that was just one of those feats. Remember, there was multiple over there, so let's look at the others. So that was improved critical. What does improved critical do? Same fucking thing. It increases it by another 1. So again, we take a punch that crits on a 20, getting these 2 feats alone for unarmed strike, would now make your punches crit on a 18, 19, and 20. The best crit range for a normal weapon in the game. Then if you grabbed improved critical for unarmed strikes, again, it would drop it down to a 15. So you could crit on a, potentially, on a 15 all the way up to a 20. And as sexy as that sounds, we're not done yet, but we're done with the increasing the range. Before we move on, though, let's talk about something that would be better. Again, that's awesome for punching. Don't get me wrong. Or any other weapon that crits only on a 20. That's pretty fucking sexy. But what about those weapons that crit already on an 18, 19, 20? Yeah, it works on them too. So this would say a kukri that crits on an 18, 19, and 20, or a rapier or scimitar, or other weapons besides. But if it crits on an 18, 19, 20, now the weapon crits on a 17, 18, 19, 20. If I grab this one, it drops it down to a 16. And again, that's before we factor in it being a keen weapon or me using improved critical on it. So again, if it's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, that's 5 numbers, okay? Improved critical for that weapon doubles the range. So instead of it being 5, double it to 10. How many would that be? Will it be 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, and 11? So half of the time I hit or swing at somebody, I have the potential to crit, is what I just told you there. Tell me that shit ain't fucking sexy. And tell me why you'd want to do anything other than go trickster path and get perception level 2 as soon as fucking possible. For you and your team, everyone will unlock these abilities once you become perception rank 2. Now that's a long road to hoe, man, but I tell you, that's going to be a nice fucking playthrough. My Sword Saint, I am real tempted to make him a trickster mythic path for this reason. He's gonna be a beast. He's already using a rapier. That's the highest crit range. That's the 18, 19, 20. And you better believe I'm grabbing this, I'm grabbing that, and this one, which we'll talk about next. And definitely grabbing this or just making it a keen weapon, which you'll have the ability to do. He's going to fucking crit. And the best part, if that wasn't sexy enough, just like a fighter, the Sword Saint gets Weapon Mastery. What does Weapon Mastery do? It increases the crit multiplier, not the modifier, not the range. The multiplier. So the times 2 becomes times 3. Times 3 becomes times 4. But wait. This one also, if you could crit, so if I hit the target, let's say on an 11, again, I could do that with these 2 abilities and this one for that weapon. I could hit with an 11 if I could hit the target on an 11 and I roll an 11. It auto-confirms, which means, no, you crit. It's done. So again, that's not likely that an 11 is going to be good enough. But if it was, 50% of the time, baby, crit. It's not going to be 50. It's going to be less. Point is, though, it's going to be fucking sweet. And again, on a fighter build, as cool as my Sword Saint's going to be, remember, his BAB is only going to be 15 at this level. I have ways around that. But a purist fighter, 20th level, that's a 20 BAB. That's a really good swing, and all the bonuses to his weapon. Let's assume he picks a high crit weapon like a rapier or whatever. Goes Trickery Mythic Path, grab those 2 things. Well, all 3 of these, because you're going to want all of them. You grab this as well, and you get all the way to level 20 where you have that Weapon Mastery upgrade where he also confirms his crits. He's a rapier fucking monster. Just crit. And again, he will crit more often than my Sword Saint. Why do I say that? Because his BAB will be 20. That's a +5 to his swing compared to mine. Mine will be 15. Again, I can cast a spell that brings me up to 20, but you get the point. It's going to be a monster build. This game is, as much as Kingmaker was a great game, and it definitely was, this one's going to be, you get to do some redunculous shit. So again, it's going to be super fun to see how people are like, oh, that's pretty cool. I got good damage. I went Lich. I went Angel. I went Trickster, and I got fucking crit fishing son of a bitch. And remember, the reason I like it is because, for those that don't know, a Magus, like a Sword Saint, which is what a Magus, one of their subclasses, have the ability, most Magus do anyway, where they can cast a touch attack, a melee touch attack into their weapon. So they cast their spell into their weapon, and if the weapon crits, like all that shit, guaranteed and all that jazz besides, when it crits, the spell discharges, it will do damage. If the weapon crits, though, the spell crits as well, does double damage. So take that 5d6 Shocking Grasp, channel it through your fucking rapier, swing, crit, and then 5d6 becomes 10d6, technically speaking. That's pretty fucking cool, man. Just saying. Now, what does this one do? The improved, critical, improved. Notice that this looks a lot like this one, but it's the next one on the totem pole, so obviously you have to get them in order. So this one first, then this one, and then this one. And notice how this one not only requires Perception rank 2, but you also requires you to already have improved critical for a weapon, which, of course, you're going to do. But what does this last one do? this increases the multiplier. So if it's times 2, now it's times 3. If it's times 3, it's times 4. If it was times 4, like a scythe is a times 4 crit weapon. It only crits on a nat 20. But imagine this on a scythe build. 20 crits now on a 1920. Crits on an 18, 19, 20. Because you have this, it will crit on a 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's a pretty good fucking range. And now instead of it being times 4, it's times 5. Wait, I'm not done yet. I got weapon mastery because I'm a fighter. Now my times 4 or times 5 becomes a times 6. Imagine critting on a 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's 6 chances to crit, auto crit at this point, and doing 6 times your damage. Or actually, it's not technically true. It's they roll the damage 6 times, add it together. But the point's still the same. On a fucking thing like a scythe, that's gonna fucking be a monster. But wait, there's more. Because while I said it does 6 times, or crit on 6 chances, again, 15 to 20, that's 6 numbers. On a 1d20 die roll, for frame of reference, so you guys can have some math in your brain here. I'm sorry for that. 6 times out of 20, that's 5% per time. So 6 times 5, that's a 30% chance that you could crit. Now, why do I say could? 1, because you won't have this necessarily yet. And 2, remember, even if you have guaranteed crit, you still have to hit. So while I say 15 could crit, remember, if that's not a good enough swing, you're still missing. It doesn't just become a crit because you hit 15. 15 has to also hit the target, right? So in the game, from what I hear, the end of the game, bad guys are going to have fucking inflated armor. But on a build like a fighter, who's already getting like a scythe with a big +4 to his swing, +4 to his damage, a +20 bab besides, and going around just being like reaping the whirlwind, imagine a Lich playthrough where you had all that. That'd be cool, right? Sounds awesome. But again, now change it to Trickster where you get all this fucking cool shit. And you still get spells, and you still get buffs, and all that other cool shit that comes from being a Trickster. And you're just fucking just big, cutting people down like they're fucking wheat, baby. Just, could be fucking really cool, man. I'm just saying. For me, though, it's going to be all about the crit fishing. The chance to literally fucking crit on an 11 is just too appealing. And again, there's ways for me to almost guarantee I hit a target as a Magus. So again, as much as I would love to be a fighter doing this trick, and I'm sure I probably will at some point, I'm still want my Sword Saint to get up to 20, so he'll have a 15 bab. I'll cast that transformation spell on myself, bringing me all the way up to 20, so I'm going to be just like a fighter at that point, and I'm just going to be choppity with my rapier. It's going to be fucking fun, man. Just saying. Alright, other stuff. Improved initiative. I think we talked about that one already, and it's worth grabbing. Improved Iron Will. This is Iron Will, which we have yet to see, but the bigger version, so it's +2 and another +2 now, so that's just to all your will saves. Improved Lightning Reflexes. Again, the upgraded version of Lightning Reflexes, which we've yet to see, so again, a +2, and then now another +2 to your reflex saves. It's decent. We talked about Improved Precise Shot. It's amazing if you're a ranged attacker. You definitely want to try to fit that in your build. And Vital Strike stuff we talked about. Here's Indomitable Mount. Here we go. Now we're finally getting into some mount stuff. Indomitable Mount. Notice how it requires a mobility of 5. Notice if you read the tooltip on this, you are doing, as the rider of the mount, a mobility check. Now, what I don't know, and if anyone knows this, please post down below. I haven't played into the mounts very heavily, because it's not my thing, but I notice I can pick up this with some of my pets, and it's probably because I make my pets have an intelligence of 3 and 4, so I give them more skill points, so maybe that's why they shouldn't have access to it. I don't think they would need this, right? Just the rider needs this, I think, because otherwise it doesn't make a lot of sense. But assuming that's correct, you as the rider of the mount, once per round, when the mount fails a saving throw, you can make a mobility check with your mobility, obviously. And if your mount makes it save, if your mobility check result is greater than the DC of the opponent's attack. Now, what does that mean? So if the DC was 20, you just need to roll a 1d20 and roll on that 20. But again, you have mobility. You already have 5 ranks invested in it, so presumably you have a mobility of 5 or better. So now I don't need to roll a 20. I need to roll a 15 or better, right? So that those numbers add. Well, remember all those things I told you about feats that could increase mobility? You know, like skill focus mobility? This would be an example for why you might want one. Because of shit like this. And there's another one coming here in a minute that's also another mobility check. Has nothing to do with a saving throw. Has everything to do with your mount avoiding getting hit. So literally, if they could have been smacked in the face, you can use a mobility check if you're good enough at it, and you basically steer them away from the hit. Free miss, basically. Kind of fucking cool. Which is why on the one and only mount build that I've made, that finally got it out for a reviewer, or a watcher of my channel, who had been asking for it for a while, and I apologize for it taking so long. I'm just not into mounts. But I made it when I realized this mechanic. I'm like, fuck that. So I made myself a halfling. Why? Because they have high dexterity, which means their mobility skill is going to go up because of that. But also, halflings get a bonus to mobility for this thing called sure-footedness. It's also a bonus to athletics too, but their strength is shit. But their mobility goes up as well. And if it's a class skill, which it probably was, and if not, I make it a class skill with my background, they have a really good mobility right off the bat. So I can ride the mount and get these things once I unlock them. Obviously, this won't be until level 5, because that's when you would get mobility of 5. That's a prerequisite. But suddenly, I got a really good chance of my mount making every save. And, of course, avoiding damage, as you'll see in a minute. So this is pretty fucking cool. Intimidating Prowess, we already talked about it. Iron Will, again, just a plus 2 will saves. Life Dominant Soul, again, another Dampier one. Weirdly, this one doesn't have Dampier written here. Instead, it's over here. I don't know what that's about. You are healed by both the Channel Positive Energy, used to heal living creatures now, because Dampiers aren't, because they're technically undead, and Channel Native Energy, used to heal undead. But both now only heal half. Originally, you were healed by Channel Native Energy, as well as inflict wound spells. Just fine, you're basically undead, so again, it's cool. Now you get to be healed by anything, as far as the AoE, or the Channel Positive Energy, Channel Native Energy shit. But I'm going to only half. Notice this part, and I don't understand this part, so let's pay attention, because maybe I can figure it out now. You still take damage from positive energy used to harm undead, such as that from channeled energy and lay on hands. It just fucking said it, that it allows me to heal half. So what is it, heal half and then damage half? Fuck that. I don't understand. Lay on hands I get, because it had nothing to do with channel positive energy. But maybe they mean when the bad guys attack you. Maybe that's what they're talking about. So if the bad guy's trying to channel positive energy to hurt me as an undead, then I take full damage from that prick. I think maybe that's what it is. Because again, the healed from channel positive energy and healed by channel negative energy, that means if my teammate's trying to heal me, they can use either of those and I'll get healed. I think that's what that means. Lightning Reflexes, again, just a plus 2 reflex saves. These ones are weird. This is the new race, the Kitsune. These are the fox people. You can get this up to 9 times, and each 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 8 times, because you have one tail already. Yeah, so you have a 9-tail Kitsune. For those of you who don't know, there's a lore thing about the magic fox people where they have all one tail. There's supposedly the more tails that you have, the more magical you are. Hence the reason for this. So there's this myth or whatever in this game of a 9-tailed Kitsune. So this is a way for you to get 9 tails. And each time you get a new one, you unlock a new spell use a day. You can only use it like a couple times a day, and it's weird. It says Vanish, Sleep, Blur, Invisibility, Deep Slumber, Displacement, Confusion, and Dominate Person are the spells that you get for each one. So Vanish is the first one, then you'll get Sleep, then you'll get Blur, then you'll get blah, blah, blah. The point is, if you read the tooltip after that, it talks about weirder or different spells that we're not getting. It says, for example, the first time you select this feat, you gain Disguise Self 2 times a day. It said Vanish. The second time you select this feat, you get Charm Person. It says Sleep. What the fuck, game? I don't understand what this means, so I've never done this, is my point. Notice, though, your caster level for these spells is equal to your hit dice. So if you're not even a caster and you grab this, because obviously you have to be a Kitsune to do it, you would be level 20 caster by the end of your playthrough, even if you were like a fighter or a rogue, for purposes of these spells. So the duration that they last, how much they affect, blah, blah, blah. And it's not bad. There's some fun to be had here. So it'd be interesting to play like a rogue that would have just these, because these spells could be used for a rogue if this list is accurate. Vanish is decent. Sleep is good. Blur is decent. Invisibility, Deep Slumber, Displacement, Confusion, and Dominate Person. Those are all good spells to fuck some shit up. And especially as a rogue, you'd have some fun with like the invisibility stuff. But again, decent, not great. And again, I'm not burning 8 goddamn feats on. I have another tail and a spell a couple times a day. Ooh, ring a ding ding. But you know, your mileage may vary. Let's see, we've done that. Here's mounted combat. Notice mobility of 1, so at level 1 you can pick this shit up. Once per round, when your mount is hit in combat, you attempt a mobility check to negate the hit. Again, the hit is negated if your mobility check result is greater than the opponent's attack roll. Again, I have not tested this. If this works, I would make an all mobility build. Like my character riding that mount would have a mobility of 20 by the end of it, and as well as every mobility feat buff that I could throw my way. So that I could be fucking like digipping and dodging and getting out of fucking attacks for my mount. Again, it's only once a round, but again, an attack ignored. Only if it would have hit, I roll a mobility check, it negates the hit. That's pretty cool. And then same one for the saving throw. Mounted shield, another mount upgrade. Shield focus is necessary. Mounted combat, the one above it, is necessary as well. You add your shield bonus, including the bonus from shield focus, but not including the enhancement bonus. So if you have a shield +2, the +2 is not being counted. The shield armor is, and so is your shield focus. That's just another +1. Is added to your mount's armor class. So you're using your shield to help deflect shit. Which again, if you're going to be on a mount all the time and you have the ability to wield a shield, this is a solid upgrade. Murmurs of Earth, another one for the Oread, race specific. Notice how you requires Echoes of Stone, and you have to be character level 9, and of course an Oread to pick it. Become aware of all creatures within 15 feet that are in contact with the ground. That's all it tells you. What does that mean? Well, you're always in contact with the ground, so ignore that last part of the statement because you're not flying in this game as far as I know. You become aware of all creatures within 15 feet. That means if they're stealthed or invisible, which is what stealth really is, just a weaker version of invisibility, you know they're there. You are no longer flat-footed within 15 feet anyway. If they're invisible and shooting at you from 16 feet away, then that's still not doing any good. But that's not bad for, not a free feat, but a free upgrade, and that's a really good upgrade. Where I'm no longer flat-footed, as long as, that's what was causing me to be flat-footed, was I couldn't see them. Now I can fucking sense the ground tremors near me. Pretty cool. Natural Charmer, another one for the Dampier. You gotta have a high charisma for this one. Once per day, you can take 20 on your next persuasion skill check, and I have no idea how this works. I'm assuming it's not autopilot, but for frame of reference, it says persuasion skill check. It does not say that it has to be used in a positive way. Like you're trying to kiss people's ass and bluff them, or, like persuade them, or diplomacy. What about intimidate? That's a persuasion skill check. Well, what if you use this before you do something like Corning and Smash or Dreadful Carnage, baby? That's an intimidation check. And if you can take a nat 20 on that, the chances you could scare people is pretty fucking huge. Just saying, that could be really nice on a Dreadful Carnage build, right? Shattered defenses, Dreadful Carnage, Corning and Smash, Power Attack, Dazzling Display, and Weapon Focus, and having a Natural Charmer where you could literally just say, I'm going to scare everyone in this room. I run into the room, and instead of just killing somebody, which is a solid way of doing that, you just run into the center of the room and activate your Dazzling Display. Dazzling Display can fire off. You got your weapon of focus in your hand, let's say a sword. You raise your sword in the air and you fart a big cloud in a circle. Anyone in that circle you are trying to intimidate. That's a persuasion check, but that's not just one check. I mean, it's one check, but it's one check per person. Now, the question would be, do we get to take 20 on all of those people that you're trying to check, or just the first doofus? If it's all of them, this could be amazing. Now, again, people are immune to intimidation checks, shaken effects, fear effects, and there's any number of reasons that this won't work. But when it does work, yeah, man, that's pretty sweet. Natural Spell, talked about it, talked about those, talked about that, talked about Perfect Strike. This one's actually very good for the Zen Archer. And if in case I said this wrong, let me reiterate this part. You can activate this a number of times a day, but each round you can only activate it once. The very first swing, you're getting advantage. You're rolling twice, and you're taking the better of the two. This is one of the exceptions to the rule in the game where they roll twice, and they really will give you the best roll. So it doesn't matter if you fail. If you roll a 20 or like a 16 and then a 5, it will pick the 16. But it always rolls twice, but only for the first attack. But every attack after, because if you can hit more than one time, which of course the Zen Archer can, like at level 2, every round or every attack after in that same round is back to being normal. But if you really wanted to start off your attack right, where you have a really good chance of hitting that motherfucker on the very first swing, this is a nice click this and then attack him. So, again, pretty damn good. Let's see. Persuasive. This is another one that buffs multiple things. And again, another one for a Skill Monkey build. I love this one. Bonus to Persuasion. All of them. Remember, there's Diplomacy, Intimidation, and Bluff. All fall under Persuasion. And Perception. And again, it's +2 originally, then +4 if you get 10 points in them both. And I routinely do. These are the two stats that on any playthrough, that these are the two things that my main character almost always gives a fuck about. The third, if I can afford it, is almost always trickery. Those 3 skills will get you far in the game, especially as a solo play, because you need to unlock the traps, or disarm the traps and unlock the doors and all that shit. Trickery. If you need to detect them, perception. You need to persuade people to kiss your ass and then, run your kingdom, persuasion. So again, those 3 skills are root. And we're back. Sorry, we had a crash there, guys. I think they're talking too long and the computer's overheating. Let's hurry up here. But persuasive is a solid upgrade for me. I routinely like that one. What else do we have? Point Blank Master, we've talked about it already. Power Attack, yep. Precise Strike, sure. Done all the pummelings. Ray Shield, this is a new one, I think. Missile Shield, you need this in high deck. You must use a light, heavy, or tower shield to use this feat. You add your shield bonus, not including enhancements, to your touch armor class. This one's alright. So what does that mean, though? And it says touch armor class. It doesn't say only against ray spells. The Ray Shield title kind of could be confusing, but melee touch attacks and ranged touch attacks are a thing. A shield bonus, again, not counting your enchantment, literally means a light shield will give you a +1, a heavy shield will be a +2, and a tower shield will be a +4. On a character like a tank up front, this could be an okay upgrade. Not amazing, and it requires a lot of dexterity and missile shield, but you like that too for being a tank. So again, I could see building into this. Scribe Scrolls, again, it's free for some of them. This is, again, allows you to craft scrolls. Again, you need to be able to cast spells, I believe, to scribe a scroll. So you can't be some dumbass hick fighter farmer jackass and expecting to scribe wish or some shit. You really need training. But once you have training, again, you can start scribing this shit and having some fun in the game. That's only during camping, though, of course. Done. Talk about those, talk about that, talk about you. Keep going, keep going. Skill focus, obviously. I can't open it up because it'll cause my game to crash because it's overheating now. But skill focus, for any skill, you get to pick one skill each time you pick this. You can grab it multiple times, but only for one skill at each time, so you can't stack them. But picking skill focus, say for mobility, immediately is a +3 to your mobility. If you invest 10 points in mobility, it now becomes +6. That's why when we talked about alertness at the very beginning of this video and said it's only a +2 to perception, then a +4, it's a trap. You should grab skill focus perception first. If at all, grab alertness, but only after you grab these other ones. And again, I just showed you persuasive. Remember, that was a bonus to persuasion and perception, +2, then +4. So basically it was alertness and then some. So again, alertness is garbage. There's 2 things you should be picking at least to buff your perception. Skill focus perception and then persuasion, or persuasive, excuse me. If you have room for a third, feel free to grab alertness. But I'm just saying that it's the trap. It's the one that you don't want it. It's like the last possible pick. But if you want perception to be high, there's plenty of reasons to want to. That's a solid upgrade. But skill focus perception first would be my advice to you. Or any skill. This would be something, I'm yet to do it. I always keep telling myself I will. There's so many skills and no one can be a master of all of them. But I've always told myself, since we're on a team and you control a team, and even though you are the main character, I mean, we all know it, everyone else is still you because you control them. I always wanted to make a party of 6 where it's always the same party, so I know who my favorite 6 are, and give everybody a skill focus feat like this, so that you are my religion guy. I'm the trickster, so I'm getting the trickery skill, or the stealther, so I'm getting the skill focus in stealth, or whatever. And everyone gets at least one, so that when I come to those skills, I have someone on the party that's like not maxed out, but like really fucking good at it. And that is of appeal to me. But again, I've done skill monkey builds where I'm so fucking good at skills that by myself, I almost don't need my team. The archaeologist being one of my favorites. It's not the only one. Rogues are also notoriously monsters at fucking skill monkey builds. But this one's good, just not great. Spell specialization, we talked about that one already. Spirited charge, a mount one. See, when mounted and using a charge action, you deal double damage with your melee weapon. And again, I still don't understand how mount combat works per se. I mean, not the feat. I'm talking about fighting while you're on a mount. Because I've had it happen where my pet, my mount, has attacked. And I've had it where I have attacked in the same round. And I've had it routinely where it's just me attacking and the mount's just there to help move me from place to place. I'd almost rather unmount and let the pet attack and let me attack. I'm getting more attacks that way. But I mean, obviously there's some bonus to being on a mount that I'm just not seeing. Here's Stealthy, one of the last ones that is a bonus to multiple things. Notice how this is another mobility bonus Again, if you want to jack up that mobility to ride those mounts, get Stealthy. Mobility +2, eventually +4. Stealth +2, eventually +4. If you go that route, I don't know how you be stealthy on a fucking horse, but hey, man, whatever. Maybe he tiptoes. I don't know how you play your game, but this is all right. I can see this being fun. Steel Soul. This is a dwarf specific one. Notice how they have the hardy prerequisite. It's something that all dwarves have or should, and they get a +2 bonus to all their saves against spells and spell-like abilities. This is one of the things for being a dwarf that's awesome. Their saving throws are just naturally better. But if you get Steel Soul as a dwarf, you double it now. So instead of +2, it's now +4. Now imagine a Steel Soul Paladin dwarf. Remember, their charisma sucks, but you can buff it, and you don't need it to be super high. You get that charisma bonus for all your saves. Get Steel Soul as well, where you got another +4. Most of your saves in this game, especially in Kingmaker, were because of spells or spell-like abilities. It's not the only. That's usually it. So getting a +4 and then more besides for being a paladin, ooh, baby, that could be fucking cool. I'm just saying. Stony Step, another Oriad race-specific one. Notice this one, +2 racial bonus to mobility. Again, another bonus besides ignore difficult terrain underground. I don't know if the +2 mobility checks works underground only or everywhere. It doesn't really say correctly in my mind, but I'm guessing just a flat mobility jump. But the ignore difficult terrain underground, I honestly don't care. I got spells that can give me that, potions that can give me that too. So kind of pass. What else we got? Throw anything. This is another one that wasn't on my list. That I consider this a combat feat. +1 circumstance bonus on attack rolls made with thrown splash weapons, and you would think that that would work with bombs because that's what they are. But I don't think it does. I think it works for like Acid Flask, Alchemist Fire, and Holy Water, which now exists in this game. So that's the throw anything. That's what those are for. Tyrant Critical, no. Toughness. This one's generic, just in case we never covered it before. So it used to be, at least in D&D, that Toughness was 3 extra hit points. It was the very first thing you see here, and that's all it gave you. Then everyone's like, that's a trap feat, and that's bullshit. And against early levels, 3 extra hit points is 3 extra fucking hit points. Like a fucking wizard that has 3 more, you damn near doubled your HP at level 1 if you pick this up. So it's not horrible. But they did what they should have done in D&D, which means after level 3, you get another free hit point at each level. So by level 20, you got 20 free hit points. And this is not temp HP. This is full actual HP. So is this one good? Yeah. Is it great? I still like it. And if I have an extra feat that can just do whatever the fuck I want, Toughness is a solid pick. Even on a wizard, everyone likes another 20 HP. Fighters, main tanks, this is something that routinely I'm going to grab. So again, solid choice. Trample, another mount a thing here. See if they trample. Enemies while riding your mount. If the trample is successful, your mount deals damage to the target knocked prone by the trample as if it was hit with 1 natural attack. So maybe that's what I was doing and I didn't even realize it. Maybe I grabbed trample and I didn't even realize I was trampling targets. Trip, yeah. 2 of fighting, talked about it. Vital Strike, done. Vulpine Pounce, again, another race one. Kitsune. You gain Pounce in your Kitsune form. Remember, Kitsune, the fox people? You find one in the game, I don't want to ruin it for you. But when you find them, they are in human form. Kitsune have a racial ability that allows them to change into a humanoid form. So when you make a Kitsune yourself, they'll make you pick a fox form and they'll make you pick a humanoid form. The humanoid form is what you turn on. It's a toggle. And you're like, I'm a human, don't shoot me. And then when you want to, you shut the toggle off and now you're a Vulpine. It doesn't give you any bonus, I think, to be a Vulpine as far as like switching between, that. But it's for role-playing, I think, purposes. But notice how here, you gain Pounce in your Kitsune form. You have to be in Fox form to use this. And what does Pounce do? Pounce is, I think, like Charge, but it's like a pummeling charge. If you remember that from the other video where you're a monk and you punch at the end of the charge. It's the same here, where you're allowed to charge and get a full attack off in the same combat round. You can see the appeal here. Notice how the high BAB, though. So honestly, on a wizard or sorcerer, you're not picking this up. But if you're on any other kind of martial-ish character, Magus, Inquisitor, Fighter, Rogue, any of those guys, this could be alright. Warrior Priest. Notice this one wasn't on there. Again, this is another one that I think falls under the magic / combat / both, really, but wasn't on the list. Notice this one requires you have one of any of these things. You have a domain selection, a domain, obviously, a mystery, or cast divine spells. Now, here's the fun part. For those of you that don't know and never really got into the mythic stuff, many, and I mean many, of the mythic spell books that you get are divine casting. So you will unlock this Like if you went Fighter, Angel, Mythic, that's Divine Casting, baby. You got Divine Spells. There you go. You can be a Warrior Priest, bitch. What does it give you, though? +1 bonus to Initiative? I like that already. And +2 bonus on Concentration checks. Well, I'm casting spells, hence the ability to cast spells. So again, we're cool. I'm digging it. For not free, but again, it's one of those where as a feat pick, again, as a fighter, I could see, or anyone really, I could see this being useful. And again, I like Initiative, so that you already sold me on that one. Then the bonus to Concentration, I don't particularly worry about it, but it is of value. Wings, another one that's race specific. This is one of the only ones that I think that's race specific for the Aesir. The Aesir can get wings at level 10, whatever character they are, character level 10. So literally, if they're like a 5-5 split or something, that's level 10. So that at that point, level 10 on up, they can burn a feat and pick wings. What does wings give them, though? If the toggle, you leave them on, they're actually currently broken in game, and I mean broken. I mean they literally, when you activate it, the wings appear on your back, you take a step, they fall off and fall to the ground. It's fucking embarrassing. Point is, when it works, it's a +3 to your dodge armor class against melee attacks only, but so much more than that. It also gives you immunity to ground-based effects, such as difficult terrain. Now let's talk about those ground-based effects. Ground-based effects are like things like Grease, Web, like if you had cast Ice Storm, the slow movement that you when you walk through the fucking chunks of ice and shit, or Stone Call, or Volcanic Storm, or any of these other types of spells. Those are ground-based effects. Not Sirocco. Sirocco is a wind effect that's placed on the ground, but it raises up off the ground, so that don't count. Same with like Tar Pool. It's on the ground. The part that slows you down, this would not impede you if you have wings on. But if you stay in the tar pool area, it sets you on fire every round. That would still burn you. And again, I would bug report that myself. I would say that should be something you're immune to if you have wings. But whatever. There's another one called Obsidian Flow. Again, it does damage on the first round. If you're in the area of effect with wings on, you will get hurt. But after that, it slows you down because it's sharp pieces of glass sticking off the ground. The obsidian is sharp pieces of obsidian glass. So that slows everyone's movement except for you because you got wings. That's difficult terrain. That's what we're talking about. So you're not impeded by the after effect, if that makes sense. So this is of value. Again, same with the web spell, though. Wings don't make you immune to it being cast on you. I think, at least in Kingmaker, I haven't tested this lately, so grain of salt for this shit. But in Kingmaker, you were immune to Grease spell with wings on, and the web spell after the effect. So when the web was on the ground, if you try to run through it, wings did not, or wings prevented you from being webbed up at that point, I believe. At least it did in Kingmaker, so hopefully it still does in this one. But that's a ground-based effect. And again, if it doesn't, that would be a bug report to me. And they would say, no, it's working as intended. No, it's not. Because the web spell, I wasn't in the effect when the web went out. If I was in the effect when the web went out and I had wings on, I could see still being webbed up because I'm right fucking there. You hit me, it went out and down. It's like a net. But once it's on the ground, this is a ground-based effect. At that point, I should be able to run willy-nilly all through that shit. La-di-da, la-di-da. And in Kingmaker it works, like I said. So in Kingmaker, I would routinely do this. Or if I had wings, and you can get them a variety of ways, spells, being an Aesir is just one of the ways. And again, I would routinely cast spells like that on the ground in front of me, let the bad guys walk into it because the AI is stupid. They would get locked up, and then I would la-di-da run from one side of the web to the other. They would still follow me, and my teammates of archers and bombers and everything else would just picking motherfuckers off while I'm just leading them on a merry chase through my web. Because I can move unimpeded, and even if they're break free from the web, they're still slowed by it. So they're trying to chase me, moving like a fucking snail, and I'm just la-di-da, all through the fucking thing, just having a blast. So wings is OP if you do it right. And again, if it's not working as intended, please bug report that. But be clear about why it's not working so they understand the mechanic. Again, it works this way in Kingmaker. Maybe it's because I've been using mods. So again, there's grain of salt on this shit. But I'm fairly certain it even works in Kingmaker on the vanilla version of the game. And it was awesome. And again, another way that if you wanted to be a cherub, a monk, where you have wings, like a little fucking halfling person with wings, being a little cherub monk with extra armor, this is dodge, baby. This is a beautiful bonus to your melee. So again, with the crane style, crane wing, crane riposte, fighting defensively, and you're a halfling, and you have that halfling +2 to your armor, the dodge for fighting defensively. I forget what it's called. We talked about it earlier today. And wings, because you cast the spell wings on you, which would give you the exact same bonus as what the Aesir get. You literally have a fucking boatload of dodge armor. That's your armor Not your flat-footed, but also your touch armor. You want to be a touch immune son of a bitch? This was the way to go. I mean, you could be brutal as a Scaled Fist monk halfling with a wing spell cast on you in the crane style, crane wing, crane riposte, and all that shit I talked about. Fucking cool. What else we got? Accomplished Sneak Attacker. Boring. It just adds another sneak attack die. Notice that this is sometimes necessary for people that want to get into the Arcane Trickster, not epic class, what do they call those? Prestige class. Because you need 2 sneak attack die. This is 1. Notice how it says sneak attack 1 up there and our current value is 0. What that is referring to is how many die you have. I have 0, so I have no sneak attack. There is mythic paths that give you sneak attack. Trickster is 1. That counts. So if I get into Trickster and it gives me a sneak attack die, I can grab this feat. It's stupid to do so, in my opinion, because it's only another 1d6. This is better on a rogue, on an Elder Scoundrel, anyone that normally a Vivisectionist that gets sneak attack early. Why? Because 1d6 going to 2d6 is a big jump. 2d6 going to 3d6 is still pretty fucking good. When you're at the end of your build, though, like a Purist Rogue or Purist Vivisectionist, where you're getting 10d6, having it go to 11, you're probably not noticing it. So again, it's good. It's good early. Grab it early if you can, by level 5, I'd say. Agile maneuvers, we talked about it, I believe, already. Allied Spellcaster covered it. We talked about those. Boon Companion, only for people that have an Animal Companion. This one, again, is a bad idea for some people because some people grab this thinking, oh, I have an Animal Companion, I need this. Well, this only works if you have an Animal Companion that's not the same level as you, which means less. There are examples of this. A Ranger doesn't get their or Animal Companion at level 1. They get it at like level 4, I believe. Druids, they get it at level 1. Druids will not need this. Rangers, however, would benefit. Anyone else that gets an Animal Companion that's subpar, they would benefit from this. And you will know it because if you pick this, your by picking Boon Companion, chances are your Animal Companion, when you log out of this leveling process, your Animal Companion will be ready to level up 1, 2, 3, or 4 levels maximum. That's a lot. So again, for those that need it, that's nice. And this is also useful, I will say, on a Purist, or not Purist, and a build that dips. So if, like, say, again, you're a Druid and you get an Animal Companion at level 1 to level 20, well, then you don't need it, right? But that's if you're a Purist Druid. What if you went Druid 16 and for whatever reason did like 4 levels of Monk to get that Wisdom bonus? You just lost on 4 levels of progression for your little buddy. Get Boon Companion. It only will take it to the maximum level of your character, though. Notice that part there. That's a key important part. So if it's already level 20 when you're level 20, this is a waste. They'll let you pick it. Do not pick it. If your buddy is equal to your level or better, then this is not necessary. If he ever starts sliding down the pole where you're like 9 and he's 8 or 7 or 6, that's when you start thinking, hey, maybe I need Boon Companion. And you'd be surprised at how much better they get. Not only do they get level up, they get extra health, they get extra skills, they get extra ability points. So you can make their strength go up, their dex, their con high, make their intelligence usually go up to 4 just so I can give some free skill points. But everybody's different on that shit. There's some fun you can have, though, with a full Animal Companion versus the sub one, which is what we're talking about now. Cluster Shots, we talked about it. Combat Casting, talked about it. Deadly Aim, talked about it. Talked about that one. Elemental Focus, talked about it. Fencing Grace, talked about it. Talked good, covered, we've covered it, got all our meta magics done. Rapid Shot, good. Shield Bash, talked about it. Shield Caster, good. Oh, I think we are done, ladies and gentlemen. My God, how many hours did that take? My name is Brother Mute. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, and notice that this will take me some time, but I will now go through all of these videos, and I will, thanks to someone's request, very politely, of course, that I will try to do timestamps as best as I can, which is to say that I will do them, but with my ramblings, it's going to be, I talk about this feat for the next 15 minutes. So again, sorry, but I'm trying. I'll do my best to at least get those to you guys in the next few days. But with that, again, my name is Brother Mute. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. What feats are you guys planning on taking? Is there something that I turned you on to that say, hey, that'd be fucking cool, I want to do that? Post that down below. And before I say I see you soon, I will say this. We are over 800 subscribers to my channel. Thank you, guys. That actually is very cool. I appreciate that. It's going to get bigger. I don't doubt that. But we've gone from like 600 to 800 very quickly. I'm very impressed. I'd rather have a much bigger channel. I think that's obvious. But again, I don't mind having the channel that I have. The fact that I had 15 viewers not a few years ago still made my day when I come home and I saw that I would get a new one. So I appreciate you all. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please tell your friends. Also, not to give you a better channel to turn to, but I know of several other channels that are associated with not only this game but others, and they do a really good job, and they definitely deserve a shout out. So Mortismal Gaming does a really nice job. He's very brief, but he does a really thorough explanation, in my opinion, for this game and others, and he does a lot of 100% playthroughs on games. Turn to his channel and you'll see what I mean. He does a very nice job. Samurai Sykes, and that's not spelled like you think, but if you look it up, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, you'll find he's got a current playthrough going through. Nice black gentleman. I want to say he's in Chicago. Does a really nice job. Again, he's very detailed. He's doing a playthrough so he can actually see the game, even though it's in beta. He's doing a Demon Mythic Path playthrough, I believe, right now. And I watch his channel too. He does a very nice job. Also does build videos like I do. Who else? Code Carnage hasn't been on this one for a while because he does every video game under the sun, that guy. But he's got a very big channel, and he's a streamer. But when this game is fully released, you better believe he's a full beta backer. And he, as a matter of fact, just to point out something, when you pick the male voices in this game, his voice is actually one of the voices. He's that prominent in the field that the Owlcat reached out to him because he also backed Pathfinder Kingmaker back and did a really nice playthrough on it. It's why I got into this game. He is such a big YouTuber and streamer, Twitch streamer, that he is so well known and recognized that they're like, hey, would you like to do a voiceover? And fuck yeah, he's not only in this game, but he's also voicing a character in Celeste, Crown of the Magister, another game that I play. So again, he does a very nice job, and he's very professional as well. And the reason I point these out to you guys is because I do know, and I apologize, but not really, for my bad language. For those of you that don't know for where I live, and I'm not going to tell you where that's at, but it is what we would call my town's name's accent. we curse a lot, and it's not anything personal. It's not mean spirited. It's just like, it's always like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck you, and fuck, and we do it all the time. So I don't even notice that I'm doing it. I apologize if I'm offending anybody, but again, only so much can I apologize for something that I really don't even have any control over anymore. It's how I was raised. It's the way I talk. It's the way my friends talk. I have literally been in a lab at one point when I was younger, and I was talking with a couple of my buddies, a man and a woman, and not that they were related in any way, it's just that there's two different sexes there, and I was talking just like I talk to you guys, and neither one of them were offended. They know who I am, they know how I talk, and it didn't take any offense to it. But I was in a public lab, so it wasn't just me and these two people, and there was another woman in the lab, and she was completely offended to the point where she actually called me out on it. And the one friend of mine, the buddy, he fucking was actually kind of pissed off at her fucking comment. But the better part to me was the woman that I was talking with, the other person I was talking to, she rolled her eyes because she's like, really, bitch? She said nothing, and I literally put my hands up, and I'm like, you know, to keep them from saying anything to her because I didn't want to offend her anymore. And I'm like, no, she's right. This is not just my lab. This is everyone's lab, and she has to hear me talk, so it is fair and justified that she's offended. But having said that, I can only imagine what that woman's life is going to be like in the real world. I mean, college was one thing, man, but Jesus Christ, lady, if you think that was bad language, you're going to have fun when you get a real job. Anyway, I know I'm deviating. Point is, I mention these other YouTubers and Twitch streamers because they are professional, because they do a good job. They may not be as in-depth as I go sometimes, and certainly they are brief, which I'm assuming you guys would appreciate, but also they're language appropriate, and as such, for people that want to like show this content to, like, say, their kid and not, you know, have to worry about my idiot mouth fucking it all up. Those streamers, again, Carnage, which is C-O-H-H Carnage, Carnage. Samurai Sykes, which is not spelled like samurai should be spelled, but it's close enough, I think. And again, if you do a search, I'm sure you'll find him when you find my stuff too. You'll also find, again, Mortismal Gaming, and he does a very nice job as well. And all three of them are extremely professional, kid-friendly, and I think you guys would like their channels. Feel free to support them as well. Tell them I sent you. Maybe they'll say my name. That'll make me happy. But with that, my name is Brother Mean. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.